Hi, welcome back guys. This is your sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Naruto Unlocks Uzumaki Throne. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. In the elemental nations, a village was enjoying a moment of peace and quiet during the night. Suddenly, sounds erupted from multiple groups of people yelling and running through the streets. It was the start of a tradition called the Fox Hunts, an event the village looked forward to every year. Many of the villagers spoke of finding the demon and seeking revenge. They clutched makeshift weapons in their hands. From an alleyway, a small child with sunshine blonde hair and 3 whisker marks on each cheek was sneaking around, trying to avoid the mob roaming the night. At just 4 years old, Uzumaki Naruto had discovered that multiple groups were after him, though he did not understand their reasons. He was fleeing for his life after escaping a group that had tormented him for an hour. He had been fortunate to find an opportunity to slip away from their grasp. Despite his young age, Naruto was exceptionally smart and mature. Life had forced him to grow up quickly. He was aware of the anger and disgust directed at him by the villagers, although he could not comprehend why he was hated when he had done nothing wrong. He had overheard the orphanage that had expelled him and the mob that pursued him call him demon or evil fox. But he could not understand why they labeled him as such or why they attacked him so violently. As he continued to run, injuries that had begun to heal still ached. He made his way to the outskirts of the village. "But why is this happening to me?" he sobbed, clutching his arm, which bore a large bruise from a rock thrown during the last attack. What did I do to deserve this? Why was I kicked out of the orphanage on my 4th birthday? Exhausted, Naruto sank to his knees, tears streaming down his face. Eventually, he reached a secluded part of the village, certain that no one would find him there. He decided to rest after running for so long. Unbeknownst to him, he had bypassed a barrier. After walking for a few minutes, he stumbled upon a large compound adorned with a unique red swirl symbol engraved on 2 large doors. It appeared majestic to him. What is this place? He wondered, exploring the compound with weary eyes. I've never seen this on my walks or while searching for food and garbage. He had been scavenging for food after suffering from hunger at the orphanage since he was 3. Why do I feel so drawn to this location? He pondered. Well, it can't hurt to look around. It's better than the beatings and near-death experiences I've endured these past years. As he approached the door, a drop of his dried blood from his bruised arm fell to the ground. The moment it touched the surface, he heard a sound of a door unlocking, and the large doors began to open. That's amazing, he exclaimed, stepping inside slowly. However, as he passed through the entrance, he heard the doors close behind him. Well, there goes my exit. Inside, he discovered a large, open patio that appeared old yet beautiful. It seemed untouched for years but was still tidy and lovely. A large bonsai tree stood in the center, surrounded by a medium-sized koi pond. White steps led up to a large mansion. The mansion itself was breathtaking, featuring a mix of black and wooden walls with black outlines around the doors and windows. It appeared to be 2 stories tall, with sturdy tiles on the roof. Naruto, amazed, approached the door and, noticing it was unlocked, decided to enter. Inside, he found a surprisingly humble interior. In the middle of the living room were maroon couches facing each other, with a clear glass coffee table in between. A large 70-inch TV hung on the wall, and the floor was made of beautiful charcoal brown wood. The walls were a darker shade of white, and a large fireplace adorned the southern wall, above which hung portraits and trophies. Curious, he approached one of the pictures. To his surprise, he recognized one of the figures. The image featured a beautiful woman with long crimson hair and cerulean blue eyes, dressed in a black undershirt and an umbu jacket, with loose black pants. She had 2 pouches on her hips and a katana with a white and gold braid adorning the handle. Next to her stood a man with familiar blonde hair and light blue eyes, wearing a long-sleeved blue shirt and a jonin jacket. The most striking feature was the long Hokage cloak with a red flame-like pattern at the bottom. I'm in the house of the 4th Hokage? He exclaimed, panic rising within him. What do I do? I shouldn't be here. As Naruto fretted, he failed to notice a low growl echoing in his mind. A large seal appeared on his stomach, and a deep voice resonated, almost sounding nostalgic. So he finally found their home. I really hope he sees the room they made for him. Well, I'm already here, so I might as well look around, he sighed. He decided to head to the second floor after observing that everything on the first floor was still in good condition. The first door he encountered appeared to be a guest room, featuring a queen-sized bed with white sheets that looked incredibly inviting. Shaking off the thought, he moved on to the third room, which resembled the first. In the room, there was a large king-size bed adorned with maroon covers. At the back of the bed stood a dark brown wooden headboard, intricately engraved with a fox. Above the headboard hung a picture of the couple, a reminder of their shared moments. Recognizing that it was the master bedroom, I closed the door and moved on to the next room. What I found there filled me with questions and brought tears to my eyes, breaking my heart. Naruto knelt on the floor, tears streaming down his face as he faced the entrance of a room he had just discovered. The room was decorated for a baby, with little foxes painted on the white walls, but what caught his attention the most was a banner hanging over a large crib that read, "Welcome home, Naruto." In disbelief, Naruto thought to himself that it must be a coincidence. There was no way it was meant for him, though he secretly hoped it was. After several minutes of battling his emotions, he decided to explore further. He walked to the last door at the end of the hallway, opened it, and found a medium-sized office with a large desk at its center. On the wall hung an intriguing kunai with 3 prongs. However, it was the 3 scrolls on the desk, accompanied by a note, that piqued his interest. Curious as ever, Naruto approached the note and began to read. The note stated that the scrolls would only open for someone related to the Uzumaki Namikaze family. Excitement and apprehension filled him. This was his chance to discover if the note referred to him. He hesitated for a moment but ultimately decided that anything was better than the life he had been living. He moved to the first scroll, bit his already healed thumb, and smeared a bit of blood on the top of the scroll, holding his breath in anticipation. With a small flash, the scroll opened, and he began to read. "My dear Naruto, my son. If you are reading this, then sadly I must have died when the Kyuubi was released from me. Your amazing mother is Kushina Namikaze Uzumaki, the princess of Uzushigakure and the Red Death of Konoha. I am also the clan head of the now nearly extinct Uzumaki clan. On the other hand, with my passing, you are now the heir to the crown of Uzushigakure and the leader of one of the most powerful clans in the elemental nations." Naruto was taken aback by this revelation. He had a clan? The sadness of knowing it was nearly extinct weighed heavily on him. He wondered if he might find some survivors later on and how he would recognize them. We were known for our longevity, our large chakra pool, our skill in Fuinjutsu and Kenjutsu, and our special ability, the chakra chains, which are strong enough to hold tailed beasts. We are the strongest. Sorry, I get excited whenever I talk about our clan. Naruto chuckled softly at this part. One thing that makes us known and proud is our almost crimson-colored hair. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I love you, my little boy, and I want you to live a happy life and enjoy it the way you want. I want to help you as much as I can, so I decided to leave you my fighting taijutsu style called Crushing Waves, which the royal family of Yuzu is known for. It's a fast taijutsu style that focuses on hitting the enemy with precision using your knuckles or palm strikes, sending chakra into them and effectively defeating them from the inside. I also leave you my katana, Muramasa. It is our family's katana and has a special quality. It possesses sentience and has a summoning scroll sealed within it. It can summon one of the most powerful beings known to the lands, but it will decide when you are ready to meet them and to sign the contract. Lastly, I leave you my booklet that contains the history of our lands, a guide to our Fuinjutsu, and my Kenjutsu style that earned me the title Red Death. I received help from the summons to create this style. Now, turning on mother mode. Naruto noticed wet marks on this part of the scroll. Was she crying? Tears began to fall as he continued reading. I'm so sorry for not being able to be there. Trust me when I say that if I could fight off the Shinigami to be with you, I would. Sadly, I can't, so I'll give you some advice that I hope you follow. Naruto, Don't be a picky eater. Eat well and grow strong. Make sure to take baths every day and stay warm. Also, try not to stay up late, you need your sleep. Make friends, or at least a few you can trust. Study hard. I wasn't very good at it at first, but I had a secret to help me, which I'll tell you later. Remember to never be arrogant and to be humble, as everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. Respect your teachers and upperclassmen at the academy. This is important. Learn the 3 prohibitions for a shinobi. Since you are a clan head, they will likely put you in the CRA. Be careful with whom you lend your money and invest. Don't drink too early in life. And when it comes to women, choose those who love you for who you are. I want 10 grandkids. Be cautious with Jiraiya-sensei. He can be a bit of a pervert, but he is a strong ninja and your godfather, so I hope he can protect you and help you grow into the man we hope to see. You will have to endure hardships due to your father's decisions and being alone, but always stay true to yourself. I have so much more to say, but not enough time. I wish I could be with you longer. I love you with all my heart. Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, your awesome and loving mother. Tears streamed down Naruto's face as he held the scroll tightly. They really did love him. For so long he had asked about his parents, only to be told they had abandoned him. Even the important elder had only ever said he couldn't reveal who they were. Now he knew he was the son of the 4th Hokage and a loving mother named Kushina. After a moment of crying, he moved to the next scroll, which was yellow, and repeated the process to open it. Dear Naruto, I hope you are living well right now. Naruto sighed, knowing that his life was far from ideal. If you don't know by now, my name is Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage and your dad. If you are reading this, then sadly I have died. I sacrifice myself to seal the QB and stop its rampage. I want to make one thing clear. It didn't attack us willingly, it was being controlled by a masked man with a Sharingan. He didn't look like someone from the village, and I am sure he is dangerous. After setting the QB free, I had to make a hard decision that would affect your whole life. I sealed the QB inside you to save the village, hoping you would be treated as a hero. If it goes as Kushina says, living as a Jinchuriki will be difficult, and for that I am sorry. I believe you will be able to control the QB's chakra when you get older, which is why I sealed it inside of you. How do I know? I have to believe in my son, after all. Just know that I love you with all my heart and wish the best for you. In the Black Scroll, I left you all my studies from when I was preparing to become Hokage. It contains political, rudimentary, historical, and tactical studies with notes ready for you to use. There are also ninjutsus, genjutsus, my personal taijutsu style called the hummingbird style, and my training regimens to make you the best ninja you can possibly be. I also left you guides for seals as I was adept at them, and my prized jutsus for you to learn, the Rasengan and the Hiraishin. After modifying it, it has almost become a bloodline technique, as I added my blood to the ink for the formula. The kunai in the office can be turned upwards to reveal a secret room that has a gravity chamber, an unpredictable obstacle course, a vault with all the contracts, money, and jutsus collected by us, and lastly, a training room with multiple levels. Be careful, though, even I barely hit level 20, which is the max, and I was Hokage at the time. There will also be a library with everything you need to learn, from academics and geography to survival skills and miscellaneous topics like cooking and books on love. Yes, love, since we discovered that the Uzumaki royal family has a special condition that prevents them from having children with someone they don't love. Hopefully, you can find those who can love you, as you will likely be part of the Clan Restoration Act and have multiple wives. Just be happy, and know I love you and will be with your mom, keeping an eye on you in heaven. With all the love a dad can give you, Minato Namikaze. Naruto was on his hands and knees, crying repeatedly, saying, "They love me," almost like a chant to ensure he would never forget. He now understood why the villagers hated him. He housed the strongest and most destructive of the tailed beasts. What he didn't understand was why they couldn't see the difference. Now knowing everything, Naruto approached the Black Scroll and unsealed it. Out came several sets of books, a beautiful katana he recognized from a picture he had seen downstairs, and a kunai that matched the one on the wall. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted what looked like a diary that his mom probably used, with a piece of paper sticking out of it. He pulled it out, and it read, "Also, Sochi, this is a scroll on how to use the shadow clone jutsu. Our clan's large chakra pools make it almost impossible to use normal clones, so this is a better alternative. I used to train with them a lot in secret since they retain their experiences and send them back to you. From elemental training and muscle memory to even just getting smarter by reading and keeping what they read in your head. I maliciously abused it growing up without your dad knowing just to say I'm ahead of him, hee. Don't tell anyone about my secret, it stays between us." Naruto started to laugh out loud at the note. Now I know where I get my mischievousness from. Deciding to learn more tomorrow, he closed the scrolls and left the office to go to the master bedroom, where he lay on the bed. He chose to sleep there to feel closer to his parents. "Good night, Mom and Dad," he said, a tear falling from his cheek as he fell asleep. 9 years later, it was the weekend before the Genin exams, and Naruto was in the Uzumaki complex. The day he discovered his heritage, he decided to adopt a persona of a bumbling idiot to deal less with the villagers. Of course, he had been training hard. Whenever he had the chance, he summoned at least 20 clones to train and study for him while he focused on physical training. He had also practiced developing an extremely keen eye, allowing him to deduce how techniques and jutsus worked, enabling him to use those techniques. They may not have been a perfect copy, but he had a knack for using them at the minimum. Now, he was at a high jounin level to low kiga in ninjutsu, taijutsu, and kenjutsu, while he was mid-chunin in genjutsu, which he still struggled with. He wore resistance seals he had created from his dad's notes, which boosted his speed to mid-chunin, but once removed, he reached high jounin levels. He had also mastered his parents' taijutsu styles and kenjutsu, which he named Dragon's Ascent. This style involved a fast rhythm-based technique that could add elemental energies and fuinjutsu whenever the sword was slashed or moved at the enemy. He had discovered his elements: wind, water, fire, and lightning, ranked from strongest to weakest. He had also awakened his clan's unique Kekkei Genkai, the chakra chains, and was now a level 15 seal master out of 20, based on his mom's booklet. He had barely finished his Hiraishin formula and was starting to practice using it. All of this remained hidden from most of the village, even from the Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, who did not know who Naruto truly was. Naruto didn't trust the Hokage well after not helping him in the past and still not revealing his heritage despite giving him multiple chances. "Finally, I'm almost done with the academy. I can finally get rid of this ridiculous mask," he thought. Naruto had 2 people who had discovered some of his hidden abilities, or at least suspected them. One was Shikamaru Nara, the genius of the class, who had noticed how Naruto sometimes stopped himself from answering correctly when called upon. He had talked to Naruto alone to confront him, but Naruto cleverly neither confirmed nor denied him at that time. This was at the beginning of the academy. Next was Hinata Hyuga. She had developed a crush on him after he saved her from bullies before he was kicked out of the orphanage, and she had quietly followed him since. She had noticed for years how he moved around the village at high speeds, something that no one else seemed to notice. At age 10, they finally talked, and now she was one of the closest people to Naruto. He had even helped her with the issues stemming from her clan and her shyness. She wanted to change her personality so that suitors would not approach her. "That ridiculous personality and awful outfit you wear have been unbearable, as well as the genjutsu you are using to hide your actual image," Kurama said. "Well, sorry for trying to be cautious for both of us," Naruto replied. Now, you might wonder who he was talking to. We need to go back to right after he fell asleep on his parents' bed all those years ago. Flashback, Naruto's point of view. After falling asleep, he suddenly woke up to the sound of dripping noises. Upon opening his eyes, he realized he was in a sewer-like area, and standing in front of him was a large red gate with a tag that read, "Seal." Wide-eyed, he saw 2 large eyes appear in front of him. They were blood red with a black slit going vertically down the center. "So, my jailer has finally decided to visit me," said a low, growling voice. He stood stunned for a moment before walking up towards the cage. As he got closer, he saw a red-orange kitsune with 9 large swiping tails in the back. It had the upper body structure of a human, complete with opposable thumbs and claws. It's a surprise to meet you, Kyubi-sama, Naruto stated respectfully with a low bow. Amused, Kyubi replied, "It's nice to see respect for once from my jailer. Most would just fear or yell at me annoyingly." Naruto started to laugh, shocking Kyubi. "Yeah, I'm pretty sure my mom would yell at anyone, no matter who they are, from what I read about her." Kyubi couldn't help but chuckle as well. "Well, you're right, but I did respect her a bit too, with that hyperactive and mischievous personality you both share." "Hey, I'll take that as a compliment," Naruto said. They both stared at each other for a moment before bursting into laughter again. "Anyway, before anything else, I wanted to apologize to you for how you have been treated and to let you know I don't blame you for my parents' death. I mean, being sealed without a choice or freedom for centuries, of course, you would try to leave and retaliate." Kyubi was in awe. It was the first time someone had apologized to him. He saw that even through the pain he endured, Naruto still had a pure soul. "It's fine, Kit. I've gotten used to it," Kyubi said. "Can I ask a question, Kurama-san?" Naruto timidly inquired. "Sure, Kit. What is your question?" "Well, what were my parents like? I have an idea about my mom, but I've only heard stories about my dad." After thinking for a moment, Kyubi had an idea he wanted to try. "Hey, Naruto, go ahead and try to take the seal off." "Are you trying to get out, Kurama?" Naruto asked timidly. "No, Kit. Minato might have put extra security on the seal, and it could help you learn more about your dad." "Okay. I'll trust you fully and try." As he reached for it, a hand suddenly grabbed him and pulled him back. "Really, Kyubi? At such a young age you target him?" asked a new voice. "I knew he did something, I just didn't expect him to show up," Kyubi replied. Minato, confused and wondering what was going on, asked, "So, Naruto, why did you try to pull the seal?" But when he asked, he was tackled by a yellow blur. "I wanted to see you for so long, Dad." Naruto cried into Minato. "Okay, Minato, I can answer," Kyubi said. The fourth Hokage looked at the nine tails. "Don't worry, I didn't want to escape. Your kid has gained my respect after everything he has been through, and I'm also helping you stay longer, so go talk to him." Minato was surprised that Kyubi would do so much for Naruto. "What do you mean by what he has been through?" Minato noticed the flinch that came from Naruto. "Here, let me show you instead, since honestly, it's too much even for me." Minato's expression shifted from sadness to full-on fury. "This village," Minato exclaimed, releasing a killer intent so strong that even Kyubi felt a shiver. Calming down, Minato looked at both the beast and the boy and said, "Naruto and Kyubi, I'm sorry for what I put you through. Also, thank you, Kyubi, for healing him when he needed it. Some of these villagers, and even some of the ninja, are bigger monsters than what they assumed you are, no disrespect intended, Kyubi." "None taken, honestly. Even Madara was better since he didn't target little kids," Kyubi replied. "Naruto," Minato said, looking at him with a warm smile. "Right now, I have to ask, what do you want to do?" Both of them waited for his response. "What I want to do is get strong enough to help those I care about and fight for what is right, even if it means rebuilding our old village and becoming the Uzumaki." Both Kyubi and Minato looked happy and smiled, but they were surprised and awed when he continued. "I also want to help those who went through what I went through, from the Jinchuriki to the tailed beasts that want freedom themselves." For a moment, Kyubi saw his father, the sage of six paths, behind Naruto, mouthing, "He's the one." Kurama started to laugh, and both blonde heads turned to him, tilting their heads in unison. "That's it. You've got a friend in me, Naruto. I'll help you all the way and see where you go with your desires." Minato smiled and patted Naruto's head, who was almost purring. "And I will support whatever you want to do, no matter what. I'll let your mom know what is going on the other side and will watch over you as you grow." He began to slowly fade away. "Dad, what's going on?" Naruto exclaimed, his voice trembling. "I guess it's time. I can't stay any longer," Minato replied, his tone heavy with emotion. As Naruto hugged him tightly, tears streamed down his face. "Dad, just know I don't blame you for what you did and understand why you had to do it." Minato's eyes glistened with tears as he returned the embrace. "Thank you, Naruto, and I love you, my son," he said softly before fading away. Later, both Naruto and Kurama agreed to hide his intelligence and power until he became a genin. They understood that as a civilian, the civil council had control over him and would do anything to keep him weak. Once he became a ninja, the Hokage would be the one in charge. Now, Naruto prepared to burn his old orange jumpsuit, ready to wear his actual clothes. "Are you ready for what is to come when you go to the academy for the test?" Kurama asked. "Yeah, let's start planning. I need to find a way to retrieve the rest of my heritage from Uzushiogakure." Kurama suggested, "It might be before or during the Chunin exams when they usually give you guys a month for training." Naruto grinned. "Well, they won't know what hit them." They both shared a laugh. "Hopefully, I don't accidentally hurt someone on the first day, like Kiba or Sakura. Honestly, I don't know how I liked her with how she started acting when getting into the academy." Kurama teased, "Honestly, I had a second question if you were EMS." Naruto rolled his eyes. Yeah, I would too. I wonder what Hinata is doing." "Go check and talk with your vixen before you get ready," Kurama encouraged. Naruto blushed and shouted, Shut up, furball." Kurama could be heard laughing. As Naruto approached the training ground, he saw Hinata practicing her mother's style of gentle fist, called flowing fist. Years ago, they had discovered that Hinata struggled with her movements, as her body seemed delayed in responding to the katas of the gentle fist. While most Hyugas had an earth affinity, Hinata had a water affinity like her mother. After a long conversation with her father about her heritage, he allowed her to train with Naruto. "Hey, Hinaheim, you ready for the exam?" he called out. After defeating the last training dummy, she turned around and smiled. "Yeah, but I can't wait to stop hiding who we are even more." Naruto stepped forward and hugged her, and she returned the embrace. "Finally, I can stop avoiding you." They both laughed and headed to bed. Yes, they were together, and Hinata knew Naruto would be in the clan restoration act. She wasn't thrilled when she found out but understood, declaring herself the head wife. Getting into their pajamas, they entered the master bedroom and cuddled. "What do you think will happen?" Hinata asked. "Well, for one, we both will obviously make it to Genin. I might even have to confront Kiba if he tries anything with you after the change with his alpha mentality." Hinata giggled adorably at that. She snuggled closer, resting her head under his neck. "Don't worry, you know I'll only ever love you." "I know, but I'll still make sure he understands not to mess with you," Naruto replied. "That's fine, dear, just don't go too far." Naruto blushed at the term she used and she smirked. "Oh, I see how it is. Two can play this game." He pulled her closer, teasingly grabbing her waist, which made her blush and pout. "I couldn't help it, you're just so adorable when you pout," he said with a playful grin. She buried her face in his chest, blushing harder. "Only you can do that, Naruto, whenever you want." Now blushing himself, he said, "Let's just get ready to sleep. I promise to always be here and help you with anything, Hinaheim." "Me too, Naruto-kun. I will always be there and love you with all my heart." With that, they both drifted off to sleep, smiles on their faces. Naruto's point of view began early in the morning as he and Hinata prepared for the academy. He chose to wear a black long-sleeve t-shirt with an orange outline running down the center, paired with dark red pants. Medical tape was wrapped around his right thigh, securing his kunai and shuriken pouch. He completed the look with black sandals and a dark red cloak adorned with black flame-like patterns at the bottom, featuring the Uzumaki clan insignia on the back and shoulders. On his wrists, he had seal tags taped on that contained storage seals for his kunai, shuriken, and senbons, which he had been practicing with poison under Hinata's guidance. Additionally, he carried his mother's sword on his left hip, mostly concealed by the cloak. Hinata, embracing her beauty, wore a lavender sleeveless shirt with a purple sash across her stomach, which held a large pouch containing ointments and medical equipment. She wore light purple shorts with medical tape around her right leg, securing a pouch for her shuriken and senbon, and finished her outfit with under-the-knee boots. They dispelled the genjutsus they had been using to hide their appearances. Naruto's hair now appeared shaggy, with jaw-length bangs framing his face and red tips. He had developed a sharper jawline, resembling his father while retaining features from his mother, such as her eyes and nose. He had grown from 145 centimeters to 155 centimeters, making him the second tallest in class. Hinata had also grown, revealing her long hair that she had hidden under a genjutsu, now standing at 147 centimeters. Both had lost most of their baby fat, and Hinata looked beautiful. After their morning routine, they used body flicker to arrive at the front of the academy, where they attracted attention. Some girls gazed at Naruto with heart-shaped eyes, while the boys looked at Hinata. They ignored the stares and headed to class, noticing they were the first to arrive. Naruto chose a seat by the window, with Hinata sitting next to him. She laid her head on his shoulder and held onto his right arm to sleep while he examined his mother's book, brainstorming ideas for a new seal that would automatically restore chakra, similar to soldier pills. As classmates entered, many were surprised by Hinata's transformation and her closeness to Naruto, with a few recognizing him and widening their eyes in disbelief. Among those were Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi, and Sasuke Uchiha. The classroom buzzed with whispers until a commotion outside caught their attention. Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka burst in, arguing over who would be with Sasuke. Annoyed by their noise and worried about waking Hinata, Naruto threw senbons at each girl, using a paralyzing poison that hit their necks, rendering them stiff and silent. Irika entered and saw the two girls frozen. Before he could ask what happened, Naruto explained, stating, "Sensei, that was me. I used senbons with a paralyzing poison to freeze them since they were getting annoying." Irika sighed and asked why he had attacked his classmates. Naruto replied, "Honestly, I don't consider many here my comrades, except for a few, so that's not an issue. I didn't attack them, I just froze them without causing any harm. The poison lasts only 5 minutes, so it should wear off soon." As the countdown ended, both girls began to move and shout at Naruto. "Naruto, stop trying to act cool like Sasuke. Who will believe you're the dead last of the class?" Sakura yelled. Naruto scowled and retorted, "Believe me or not, I don't care. But I am Naruto, Sakura-chan." His tone dripped with venom as he spoke her name, causing her to flinch. "Now stop being a banshee and sit down so we can start class and our genin exams," he commanded, his tone leaving no room for argument. Some girls blushed at his authoritative tone, including Hinata, who pretended to sleep. Ino and Sakura took their seats. Irika then announced, "Today will be the exams to become genin. Remember to try your hardest if you want to be a ninja, especially you, Naruto." He glanced at Naruto, freezing under the intensity of his glare. "Trust me, Irika-sensei, things will be different." After a few more words from Irika, they began the written exams, which were easy for both Naruto and Hinata. There was a minor hiccup when Mizuki added a genjutsu to Naruto's sheet, but he quickly dispelled it and placed a seal on the paper to prevent any further interference. After 15 minutes, Naruto and Hinata turned in their sheets first and proceeded outside to test their accuracy. The highest score possible was 20-20, with 10 for Shuriken and 10 for Kunai. To pass, they needed at least a score. Of the civilian students barely managed to score 13, while the clan children performed better. Ino, Shino, and Choji scored 15, with Ino hitting 7 with Shuriken and 8 with Kunai, Shino hitting 9 with Shuriken and 6 with Kunai, and Choji hitting 6 with Shuriken and 9 with Kunai. Sakura scored 16, hitting evenly with both tools. Kiba and Shikamaru scored 17, each hitting 8 with Shuriken and 9 with Kunai. Finally, Sasuke scored 19, hitting 9 with Shuriken, which frustrated him for not achieving a perfect score, and 10 with Kunai. Most of the fangirls started yelling, "Sasuke is so cool," or "Sasuke is the best," which he just ignored. Hinata was next, and she lazily threw all her shuriken, hitting all bullseyes, and repeated the same with the kunai, achieving a perfect score. Many were surprised by her score, not expecting it since she used to be shy and skittish, often missing a few. A few guys eyed her like prey, particularly Kiba, which irritated me. I went up next and noticed I had dull kunai and shuriken, probably from Mizuki again. He really was annoying. Adding wind chakra to the shuriken, I threw them at the targets, which went right through them. I repeated the process with the kunai, also getting a perfect score. Sakura exclaimed, "That's impossible. Naruto cheated, sensei. He can't do better than Sasuke." She demanded that I do it again. I casually threw one of the shuriken, which freaked everyone out until it landed in front of her. "Sakura, shut up and look at this shuriken, which is the same as the one I threw a second ago." She approached it nervously and saw it was completely dull. "Why is this dull? Wait, how were you able to make them go through the target?" I casually went down, grabbed the shuriken, added wind chakra, and threw it again, making it go through once more, surprising everyone. "That's my secret, Sakura, so be quiet now," I said with a glare directed at her, making her flinch. I walked past her and hugged Hinata, who was trying to calm me down a bit, making the guys jealous. Other than Sakura, surprisingly, I didn't receive any backlash from the rest of the class, only stares and Sasuke giving me a glare. The next test was taijutsu. "Okay, so as long as you guys can last 1 minute against Mizuki here, you will get a passing score, so let's start with." After the civilians went through, the clan heads followed, most not having an issue with their clan's signature taijutsu styles. Hinata actually pushed Mizuki off the field, earning an excellent score from Irika. When it was my turn, I could see Mizuki was planning to hurt me more than he did the others, so I mischievously grinned and just stood there with my hands in my pockets, waiting for him. This irritated Mizuki, and he started going way past genin levels of speed, throwing punches. He aimed a right haymaker at me, and I ducked to avoid it. He then went for a knee to the face with his left leg, but I rolled to his left, leaving him open for an attack. I backed away, smirking. He rushed again with a swiping kick, which I jumped over, landing behind him while backing away as he attempted a backhand that barely missed my face. Irika began explaining, "Okay, everyone, the Uzumaki clan was a very strong clan that ruled over Uzushiogakure in the land of whirlpools a long time ago. They were just as strong as both the Senju and the Uchiha and were well known across the elemental nations. They were recognized for their skill in Fuinjutsu and Kenjutsu, as well as their own special Kekkei Genkai, which not many are aware of. We were allies with the village, but sadly during the Second Great Shinobi War, it was targeted by 3 villages. Kumo, Kiri, and Iwa attacked them even though they were not involved because they feared the skills they possessed in sealing." Sasuke remarked, "What a weak clan it must have been nearly destroyed. Pathetic." He couldn't continue with his statement, as Naruto directed so much killing intent at him that it froze him with fear. "I recommend you shut up before something happens, and trust me, no one will be able to stop me." "Naruto, stop threatening Sasuke." Irika sighed, stepping in before things escalated. "Enough. Sasuke, they fought with only 2,000 ninja against 20,000 and were able to take down all 20,000 before their demise. We only arrived too late to see the destruction and for our failure to help our ally. We wear their symbol on the back of our shinobi jackets. That red swirl is the symbol of the Uzumaki clan. I believe there was only one Uzumaki left, but they are usually known for their red hair. So what about you, Naruto?" Everyone was amazed at the history they had never known, and Sasuke looked at Naruto almost at a kinship level since they were both the last of their clans. "My mother was an Uzumaki, which I found out, but not much about my dad. She had long, beautiful red hair, but I guess I inherited my hair from my dad." Irika tried to remember an Uzumaki affiliated with Konoha. He knew of one but couldn't recall the name. "Do you know your mother's name, Naruto?" Naruto smirked and said, "Yeah, her name was Kushina Uzumaki, also known as the Red Death of Konoha and the Princess of Uzushiogakure, the heir to the throne." He stated this proudly. All the girls were in awe, with stars in their eyes, as she was one of the very few kunoichi respected and well-known, like Tsunade Senju. "That's a lie, Naruto. How is she your mother?" Sakura began questioning him. Naruto just stared at her with emotionless eyes, surprising everyone with the intensity of his gaze, and pulled out the sword he had. This sword can only be held by the clan head or an upcoming clan head, plus they also have to come from the royal family. If they are not, as you have seen from Kiba, it will drain your chakra drastically until you die. It has a semi-sentience to determine if the person holding the sword is an Uzumaki or not. That silenced her, but Ino picked up on something from what was said. Wait, so from what you said, since you're her son and now able to hold the sword, you are the heir to the throne for Yuzu? Naruto looked surprised, with the others waiting for a response. Sighing, he said, "Yeah, that's right, Ino, but I'll look into that later." After that answer, Naruto stopped answering questions, and the bell rang, signaling the genins to leave. As they exited, many parents looked at Naruto with complicated expressions, particularly those from the clan heads, who likely understood who his mother was and probably figured out who his father was as well. Hayashi glanced his way and showed a small smile, surprising everyone except Naruto, who returned the smile and nodded to him as they talked. "So you talked about Kushina, huh, Naruto?" Many civilians were surprised, as this confirmed that she was Naruto's mother, including the clan heads who had been somewhat doubtful. "Yeah, I kind of got annoyed with them disrespecting my clan and my mother, so I had to respond." Luckily, Irika-sensei was able to help with the history he knew. "Well, that's okay, and it's a good thing too." Honestly, that fake personality was annoying, one of the clan heads admitted. Naruto started laughing, with Hinata giggling beside him. "Well, pranking is in my nature after all. I heard what my mom used to do to the clans themselves." Every clan member shivered at the thought of those pranks. "Yeah, please don't remind me. Anyway, do you mind if I take Hinata? She needs to do a few clan tasks." "Yeah, that's fine." "But Hinata," Naruto said, turning to her. "Yes, Naruto-kun," she replied. He hugged her tightly and said, "Give them hell." He wore a foxy grin, his face just in front of hers. She smiled beautifully and surprised everyone by giving him a kiss, then nodded her head in agreement. Naruto said goodbye and prepared for tomorrow, knowing it would be interesting to see if his predictions would come true. Everyone was back in class, waiting for their sensei to arrive. Many girls had been eyeing Naruto all morning after his transformation, and surprisingly, Ino was one of them. Irika entered the room and began listing the names of the teams. "Okay, for Team 8, we have Kiba Inuzuka, Hinata Hyuga, and Shino Aburame. Your team leader is Kurenai Yuhi." Kiba grinned, thinking about trying to win Hinata over from Naruto, only to feel pressure behind him as Naruto stared at him. "Hinata, if that mutt does anything to you, feel free to respond even if you have to teach him a lesson," Naruto said with a mischievous grin. Kiba paled at the comment, while the other boys thought about how harsh that was. Next, Team 10 will have Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi. Your team leader is Asuma Sarutobi. Ino groaned, muttering something about lazy and no good-looking men like Sasuke or Naruto. Only Naruto heard her, earning a grin that Hinata noticed. She looked at him with a teasing smile, causing Naruto to blush and look away. Lastly, Team 7 has Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, and Sakura Haruno. Their team leader is Kakashi Hatake. Naruto thought to himself that having Kakashi as their leader should be interesting, even if he knew Kakashi would have to teach Sasuke more. He felt a sense of satisfaction at the thought of revealing his true abilities when the time was right. Sakura, hearing who she was teamed with, exclaimed, "True love prevails." This led to her being frozen in embarrassment again, while Ino shook her head, wondering when Sakura would learn. Two jounins entered the classroom. One was a tall man with brown eyes, olive skin, short black spiky hair, and a beard, dressed in the standard Konoha ninja uniform. The other was a fair-skinned woman with long black hair and striking red eyes, wearing a unique outfit that accentuated her curves, making many girls envious. "Okay, Team 8, meet me at Training Ground 8 for our first meeting," the woman said. The team nodded and headed out. The man then instructed, "Team 10, meet me at the new barbecue joint that just opened." Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji got up to leave. As Ino passed Naruto, she glanced at him and he winked, causing her to blush slightly. With everyone else gone, Team 7 waited for 2 hours. Sasuke and Sakura grew increasingly irritated, while Naruto continued to work on his seal. Finally, a jounin entered the class with an expressionless face. He had spiky silver hair and dark gray eyes, with most of his face covered by his forehead protector and face mask. "Hey, it's a living scarecrow!" Naruto shouted, making Sakura chuckle and Sasuke smirk. The Jounin replied, "First impression I have from you guys is, I don't like you." Sakura and Sasuke glared at him, while Naruto remained neutral. "Meet me on the roof in 30 minutes, he instructed before disappearing in a flash. Sasuke and Sakura rushed up, but Naruto used the body flicker technique to appear next to Kakashi. "You already know the body flicker technique?" Kakashi asked, surprised. Naruto nodded and sat down. Kakashi thought to himself that Naruto was different from the reports he had read. "So, why don't we introduce ourselves?" Kakashi suggested. Sakura, ever oblivious, asked, "But how do we do that? Why don't you show us, sensei?" "Okay, well, I'm Kakashi Hatake. Things I like and things I hate. I don't feel like telling you that. My dreams for the future. Never really thought about it. As for hobbies, I have lots of hobbies." Everyone exchanged glances, unsure how to respond to that introduction. "Okay, your turn, Pinky," Kakashi said, directing his attention to Sakura. "Okay, I'm Sakura Haruno. I like strong ninjas and—" She trailed off, flustered. "Your turn next, Emo," Kakashi said, looking at Sasuke. Sasuke, brooding over the nickname, replied, "I'm Sasuke Uchiha. I want to be strong." "Lastly, it's your turn, Blonde," Kakashi said, turning to Naruto. Naruto looked at him and said, "What I like is Fuinjutsu, training, studying, and shogi. What I hate is judgmental, arrogant, or ignorant people. My dream is to be the strongest ninja I can be, to make the world peaceful, restore my clan, and make my ancestors proud." Kakashi looked surprised, wondering if Naruto truly understood the weight of his words. "Well, now that that's out of the way, I want you guys to meet me at Training Ground 7 tomorrow at 7 in the morning. I recommend not eating beforehand, as you'll just end up throwing it up." Before he left, Naruto called out, "Sensei, can you wait for a minute? I need to talk to you." Kakashi nodded and dismissed the others. "What do you want to talk about, Naruto?" Kakashi asked. "First, I want to thank you for protecting me when I was young, and second, I need you to wait since I'm going to be called for a council meeting. I bet you want to know more about what I know, right?" Kakashi's eyes widened for a moment, then he gave his signature eye smile and waited. Not even 10 minutes later, an ANBU appeared to escort Naruto to the Hokage. They all body flickered to the Hokage tower, where they found the old man smiling at them. "Hey old man, you called?" Naruto asked. "I'm doing just fine, but I do have some questions about some rumors I have heard." Another ANBU appeared, stating that the council had requested a meeting. Both Naruto and Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed, and Hiruzen nodded to the ANBU. "Well, since we know what this is about, why don't you both join?" Naruto gave them a mischievous smirk and said, "Trust me, this meeting will be different, but Kakashi needs to be there. I'll let you guys know more after the meeting as well." Both men felt a chill but were intrigued, knowing this might end up being entertaining. In the council room, the Civil Council and Shinobi Council murmured about what they had discovered the previous day. The Hokage, Kakashi, and the man of the hour, Naruto, entered the room, prompting the group to quiet down. "So, what do we owe the pleasure of this meeting?" asked the Hokage, waiting for the show to begin. It remained quiet for a minute before one of the elders, Danzo Shimura, asked, "We want to know what Naruto Uzumaki is hiding and the truth of what he said." Naruto looked at him with an emotionless face and began, "Yes, what I said is true. I am the son of Kushina Uzumaki and the heir to the Uzumaki clan. For those who might think I am lying, you can ask the Hokage for confirmation, and this sword, which has been with my mother, serves as proof since she was the heir before me." The shinobi in the room nodded in agreement. After all, they all knew of Kushina. "We should demand that everything he is hiding be handed over to the village, as it would benefit the village more," Danzo insisted, seeking the scrolls and information on the Uzumaki seals and teachings for Kenjutsu. The other elders from the Civil Council agreed and demanded the same thing. The clan heads began to grow annoyed with what was being requested, except for Hayashi, who appeared amused by the situation, something not overlooked by Shikaku Nara and the Hokage. Well, my answer to that is that I will not hand over my seals or any items exclusive to the Uzumaki clan. By law passed by the first Hokage, our clan's specialties are protected from being plundered by the village itself. All clan heads nodded in approval, with even Tsuma, Inazuka, and Hayashi enjoying the expressions on the elders' faces. Fine, but I say the village should hold the items until he becomes the head of the clan, Danzo began. That I can't accept either, since by accessing the sword, it now designates me as head of the Uzumaki clan. Preposterous! Who do you think you are, thinking you can? The civilian councilman couldn't finish his sentence. He just killed a civilian of Konoha. I demand he be arrested. Danzo stated with a smirk. Hokage-sama, if I am correct, anyone who releases information about an S-class secret is punished by death, is that correct? Sarutobi smiled while the civilians paled at the information. The shinobi smirked, knowing where this was heading. Yes, Naruto, that is correct. Unless I or whoever is on the mission releases that secret, then they are punished by death. Naruto grew a devilish grin and added, and I believe there is a law that the first Hokage put into effect stating that anyone who releases information, even civilians, about the status of our Jinchuriki is punished by death, correct? Now everyone was surprised by this revelation. Yes, that's correct. Are you aware of your situation? Yes, I am. I know what I am holding inside me. I also know of my heritage. Heritage? What heritage could a brat like you have? Asked Mabuki Haruno, Sakura's mother, with disgust. Hokage, I will choose to reveal my heritage at a later date, but I know that you and a few others are aware of what my heritage will be. I understand and will respect your wishes, as that is also an S-class secret that you are allowed to release when you are ready, the Hokage said. The elders and the civilian side wanted to argue, not knowing the secret, but given that it was an S-class secret and considering recent events, they refrained from pushing further for now. Danzo, on the other hand, obviously knew what that secret was and was scheming on a way to gain power over Naruto before he revealed it. All the clan heads were amazed and smiling at what had already transpired in this meeting, even more so knowing they no longer had to hide that secret from him. Kakashi, for a moment, saw the fourth Hokage standing behind Naruto, smirking as well, with Sarutobi sharing the same sentiment. Also, everyone was already paying attention, eager for more information. If I'm correct, I might also be part Senju based on my blood results, but I would need to confirm that with the Hokage to see if it's true. Everyone in the room jumped to their feet, yelling, "What?" The Hokage sighed and nodded, leaving everyone, including Danzo, exhausted by the information that had been revealed. Well, I'm guessing it's from my mother's side of the family if I'm correct, right? I wonder how the last living Senju will react to a relative, even if it's almost non-existent, given the treatment I have received in the village. A shiver ran down everyone's spine, a hint of fear knowing who he was referring to. Anyway, I do have a few things that I'm hiding myself, but I'll keep that information to myself. After all, everyone has their secrets, including the clans, am I right? This piqued the interest of the clan heads, but one look at Naruto made them aware to remain quiet. I don't agree with that and asked the Hokage to gather more information. Danzo almost made it sound like a demand. Well, I will if you tell us about that arm or eye of yours, Danzo-sama, Naruto said with a smirk and venom in his voice when mentioning Danzo's name. He noticed Danzo twitch, with others also noticing after he mentioned the arm or eye that was covered. Never mind, I understand and won't push the subject any further. Now everyone was left wondering what Danzo was hiding, while he himself cursed Naruto and pondered how to silence him now. Then I believe we are done here, if I'm correct. Danzo, not wanting to end the meeting without gaining anything, stated, I demand that Naruto Uzumaki be put in the Clan Restoration Act so we can restore both the Uzumaki and Senju clans. The Hokage and the shinobi were irritated by that request but could not deny it, given that it was part of the law established by the first. We can find women who could be potential partners for him, but he would have to have at least one child by the age of 18. If I may recommend. Naruto interrupted, stating, I understand that I would be put in the Clan Restoration Act, but I will choose who I will be with. The Uzumakis have a special constitution that needs to be followed, though. We cannot get anyone PRGNT unless there is mutual love between the man and woman. So, as I mentioned, I will decide who my brides will be to restore the two clans. Everyone agreed, even Danzo, after hearing the safety mechanism that fascinated the other clans. Can we talk after this meeting, Gigi? Sarutobi nodded and let the meeting conclude. A few minutes later, both men were in the Hokage's office. Hokage, may I? Naruto indicated what he wanted to do. The Hokage instructed the Anbu to leave before Naruto went through a few hand signs and said, Uzumaki style, whispers of the night. This technique ensured that no sound would leave the room and that only Sarutobi could hear what he said, even if someone else was still in the room or using a jutsu. Sarutobi was amazed but also curious about what Naruto wanted to discuss that required secrecy. First, I believe it's time you stop being an idiot and take back control of the council. You're the Hokage, but they are making judgments over yours. Second, I will be hiding what I know during the missions, but I wonder if I can take D-rank missions with my clones since I currently don't have access to my family's money. Sarutobi agreed with what Naruto said and began to think about how to regain control. Yes, I'll allow it. Is there anything else I can help with? Not really, but this paperwork seems like a pain. I'm kind of wondering why you haven't used shadow clones yet. Sarutobi just looked at him before banging his head on the table. Naruto laughed and left to rest and prepare for missions the next day. Naruto started the day in only his underwear in bed, as that was how he usually slept. He tried to move, only to feel someone on top of his chest. Looking down, he saw Hinata snuggling against him, mumbling some words. What he was able to understand from her mumbling were harder and so good, making him blush at what she was probably dreaming. Seizing the opportunity, he squeezed her waist and whispered, "What else do you want me to do?" He nibbled her ear, causing her to. She opened her eyes, glazed over, and said, "I want you to go deeper and claim me, my husband, and create a family." Blushing at her words, Naruto raised his hand and gave her a playful smack, holding her firmly as he leaned in for a deep, affectionate kiss. He squeezed her again, making her into his mouth as their tongues danced together. 10 minutes later, they broke the kiss. Panting, Hinata asked, "What was that about?" with a light blush. "Well, after hearing what you were dreaming about, I couldn't handle myself. I'm a little surprised my innocent Hinaheim was thinking of deeper and having kids already," Naruto teased. Hinata blushed a deep red and hid her face in his chest. Laughing, Naruto told Hinata to get ready to meet her sensei. It had been a month since teams were assigned. The small test he had to do with his team at the beginning was pretty simple, with Naruto holding back a lot. The only reason they passed was that the council made Kakashi pass Sasuke, and Naruto attacked at the same time as Sasuke, making it look like they worked as a team. Sakura probably felt useless as she lost to a simple genjutsu. She tried to blame Naruto, but Sasuke berated her before she could, making her tear up even though she wanted to cry. Naruto encouraged her a bit, which she accepted without insulting him. He thought she probably didn't acknowledge him as she didn't respond. He just tried to get her to grow up, but there wasn't much he could do. To start the day, Team 7 met up at the entrance of the Hokage Tower to get their first mission. Once Kakashi arrived, they headed inside. In front of the Hokage, Sasuke began ranting that an Uchiha elite should not be made to do lowly D-class missions and demanded a better one. Sarutobi started to get annoyed with how arrogant Sasuke sounded, demanding the Hokage's attention. "Kakashi, do you think your team is ready for a higher-ranked mission?" Kakashi replied, "With Naruto and me, we can take on most, if not all, C-rank missions." Sasuke seethed with anger and jealousy at how Naruto was getting recognition while he felt he was being put in the same position as Sakura. Sakura, on the other hand, began ranting again about how Naruto was useless and her Uchiha was better. However, while she was stating that, she had been having second thoughts about Naruto himself for the past month but chose to ignore them for now. "Understood. You will have a C-rank escort mission to the Land of Waves. Can the customer please come out?" In came a drunk old man with hard features, looking like he worked outside constantly. "Really? I get runts as escorts." Eyeing Naruto, he said, Well, at least one looks decent, and with a jounin, that should work. Naruto and Sarutobi picked up on the wording he used. I'll have you know I'm an Uchiha elite, so know your place, commoner, Sasuke said venomously, which made the customer twitch. Before things escalated, Naruto asked, anyway, when are you ready to leave? After agreeing to meet in 2 hours at the village gate, everyone started heading out to prepare. Naruto stayed behind, waiting until everyone left to talk to Sarutobi again. So, I'm guessing you noticed he is hiding something about this mission, right? Irika was surprised and was about to deny it when Sarutobi said, yes, I noticed his twitch when he saw you and Kakashi, and his demeanor calmed down. I suggest you keep an eye on him and gather more information during the mission. If he does finish the bridge, an alliance with them would benefit us greatly. Naruto nodded. Understood. I have my family's summons, so if there's anything to gain a favor for, I would like to continue. Is that okay, Hokage? Sarutobi thought for a second and then said, understood. I'm making this a secret mission for you only if it leads to that. You can take control of leadership and decide what to do moving forward after gathering the necessary information. Naruto nodded and started heading to the entrance. While heading to the entrance, Naruto began a conversation with Kurama. He whispered, hey Kara. Kurama responded, what is it, Kit? Naruto teased, really still sleeping? Lazy fuzzball. An annoyed growl came from Kurama as he exclaimed, shut it. What do you want? Chuckling, Naruto asked, isn't Yuzu near the land of waves? Kurama thought for a moment before replying, yeah, it is. Why do you ask? Naruto explained, I'm thinking of taking the chance to send a blood clone to the land to leave a Hiratian marker for us to visit later. I remember my mom's note mentioning that we have something waiting for us there. Kurama advised, it's not a bad idea, but I recommend doing it without Kakashi knowing. If what you're planning for Yuzu is what I think, then he cannot know what we are doing. Nodding, Naruto began to plan when to execute his idea. Once the team met with the client, they set off. After a few awkward moments of silence following a stubborn altercation between the client and the team, Sakura attempted to learn more about the land they were heading to. Tazuna, the bridge builder, began sharing stories about the area. Everyone listened quietly, but suddenly, Naruto noticed a puddle on the ground, aware that it hadn't rained in the past week. He exchanged a knowing glance with Kakashi, and they both prepared for what was to come. As they passed the puddle, Naruto, using an ability Kurama had shared with him, sensed negative emotions approaching. 2 ninjas emerged from the puddle, rushing at them. Kakashi, or rather a clone of him, was ensnared by a shuriken-styled chain and was quickly incapacitated, shocking the 2 genin. Naruto charged at one of the older-looking ninjas, throwing 3 kunai, each concealing a hidden senbon tipped with poison. The ninja blocked the kunai, smirking at Naruto, only to feel a prick on his thigh as he noticed the senbon. As he removed it, he began to feel lightheaded, and Naruto took this opportunity to rush him with a kunai held in a reverse grip. Meanwhile, Sasuke was engaged in a struggle against the other ninja. He threw a shuriken, which the ninja blocked with his gauntlet, inadvertently obstructing his own vision. Seizing the moment, Sasuke performed a series of hand signs, concluding with the tiger sign. Fire style, fireball jutsu, he shouted. The opposing ninja smirked and began his own hand signs. Water style, water wall jutsu, he countered. The wall of water blocked the fireball, creating a cloud of steam that obscured their vision. Returning to Naruto, he aimed an overhand right hook at the ninja, who ducked under it. However, Naruto used the momentum to spin and deliver a roundhouse kick aimed at the ninja's face. As the ninja backed off, he failed to notice a shadow clone approaching from behind, which slashed at his back with a kunai, causing him to bleed and swipe at the clone. Unaware of the danger, Naruto threw 2 more senbon, hitting the ninja's arm and forcing him to his knee. Seeing an opening, Naruto swiftly drew his katana in an Iajutsu style and struck, severing the ninja's head. Kakashi had dealt with the other ninja, knocking him out with a lariat. After the battle, both Tazuna and Sasuke turned away from the fallen ninja, feeling queasy. Sakura, overwhelmed by the sight, was unable to hold back and vomited. Kakashi, concerned for Naruto, noticed him standing motionless over the body. "It's okay, Kakashi-sensei. This wasn't my first kill," Naruto said, surprising Kakashi and deepening his concern for the young ninja. No child should have to experience taking a life so young. "How old were you during your first kill?" Kakashi asked, curious. Naruto replied, "I was 6 years old. A ninja tried to do what they usually do to me, but he went too far. Frightened, I grabbed a kunai left on the ground and stabbed him in the neck. It was instinct, but he died." The others were shocked by how young he was, but Sakura interjected, "Narutobaka, don't lie. There's no way the villages did anything to you. They are good people." Naruto chuckled, but the sound was hollow and lifeless, sending chills through everyone. Beneath that laughter, they sensed feelings of loneliness, anger, betrayal, and desperation. Realizing the truth in his words, they fell silent. "Believe what you will. After all, this is a normal occurrence for me in the village. Anyway, Kakashi-sensei, if you're wondering why I'm standing here, I'm giving him a prayer. After that experience, I realized how quick, lonely, and fleeting life is, and I wanted to ensure he had a prayer at his death if I could. So, I'm almost done. Can you give me a moment?" Kakashi nodded and waited. He heard Naruto say, "Rest in peace," which he believed marked the end of the prayer before turning back to the group. "So, Tazuna, if my memory serves me right, these two are the demon brothers of Kirigakure. They are missing Nin who fled from the ongoing war there. This mission stated that bandits were after you, so what is really going on?" Tazuna, nervous, initially hesitated to respond but quickly decided to tell the truth. He explained how the tyrant Gato was abusing and harassing the locals, leaving them unable to afford a higher-ranked mission. This should be a higher-ranked mission, possibly a rank, depending on who we encounter later. They usually travel with a known S-rank ninja named Zabuza Momochi, also known as the Demon of the Mist, renowned for his silent killing techniques. After hearing this, Sakura surprisingly said, "I say we continue." "Why is that?" Not trying to sound rude, just intrigued, Naruto pressed. Sakura stammered, "Well, aren't we ninjas? They need help, and it would look bad to ignore their plea." She tried to sound less nervous, though her demeanor suggested otherwise. Everyone nodded in agreement to continue the mission. Kakashi, surprised by a white fox that appeared on Naruto's head, listened as Naruto explained he was sending updates to the Hokage about their status. As they began to move out, Naruto informed Kakashi of the extra mission he was now certain he would undertake after what they had learned and his intention to deal with Gato as directed by Sarutobi. Heading out, they were not aware of how difficult this mission would turn out to be for them. As they gathered their gear, a sense of excitement mixed with apprehension filled the air. Each member of the team exchanged glances, silently acknowledging the challenges that lay ahead. The leader, a seasoned veteran, took a deep breath and addressed the group. He reminded them of their training and the importance of teamwork. They all nodded in agreement, their determination solidifying as they prepared to embark on their journey. As they ventured deeper into the unknown, the landscape changed around them. The once familiar terrain gave way to dense forests and rugged mountains. The team moved cautiously, aware that danger could lurk behind every corner. Suddenly, they heard a rustling in the bushes nearby. The leader signaled for everyone to halt. Tension filled the air as they listened intently, waiting to see what would emerge. Moments later, a small creature scurried out, and they all let out a collective sigh of relief. It was just a harmless animal, but it served as a reminder of the unpredictability of their mission. As night fell, they set up camp, sharing stories and laughter to ease the tension. Each member took turns keeping watch, their minds racing with thoughts of what awaited them in the darkness. They knew that they had to stay vigilant, for the mission was far from over. With the dawn came renewed energy. They packed up their camp and continued on their path, determined to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The bond between them grew stronger with each step, and they were ready to confront the trials that awaited them. Continuing their journey, Team 7 was nearing the river they needed to cross to reach their destination. Suddenly, Naruto sensed a presence nearby and threw a shuriken into the bushes, accidentally hitting a white bunny. Sakura exclaimed, "What the heck, Naruto? You killed an innocent bunny. Naruto retorted, shut up. Look closely. This type of bunny changes its coat color to hide from predators every season. A white bunny on a spring day doesn't match. Sakura examined the bunny and realized he was right, recalling her studies on the subject. Just then, they heard a slicing noise, and Kakashi shouted, get down. Everyone dropped as a large sword flew over them. A stranger emerged, holding the blade over his shoulder. Well, color me surprised. The copy ninja Kakashi is here, he said. Zabuza Momochi, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen. Not exactly nice to meet. The two began to clash their weapons, and the fight unfolded similarly to the original story until Kakashi found himself trapped in the water prison technique. Well, Kakashi-sensei has gone soft over the years, Naruto remarked. Sasuke, feeling ignored, charged at Zabuza's water clone. Zabuza dodged a kunai thrown at him and flickered behind Sasuke. Sasuke swung a punch aimed at Zabuza's head, but Zabuza ducked and delivered a hard jab to Sasuke's stomach, causing him to cough. Zabuza seized Sasuke by the neck, preparing to strike with a kunai aimed at his head. In a moment of desperation, Sasuke glanced around and spotted Sakura. He smirked before using the substitution jutsu, swapping places with her. Both parties were wide-eyed at the sudden turn of events. Sakura, feeling betrayed, closed her eyes, bracing for the pain, but instead heard the sound of metal clashing. She opened her eyes to see Naruto blocking Zabuza's kunai with his sword, a scowl on his face. In the next moment, another Naruto kicked the clone in the face, causing it to burst, and caught Sakura in a bridal carry, retreating back to Tazuna. Sakura finally exhaled the breath she hadn't realized she was holding. What was that, you emo reject? Naruto yelled, trying to control his anger. What? She should be happy to sacrifice herself for an Uchiha, Zabuza replied. Sakura felt tears welling up. His words made it sound like he didn't care about her life. She felt heartbroken and betrayed. And I thought I was cold, Kakashi. Is this how they train the genin from Konoha? Zabuza taunted. No, Zabuza, we don't. His status is clouding him too much, and it angers me, Kakashi responded. Not wanting to hear more, Naruto quickly moved behind Zabuza and knocked him out. Zabuza created 10 clones, all of them preparing to attack. Kid, leave, and you will live for another day, he warned. Sorry, can't do that, but I'll show you something cool. Naruto formed a one-handed seal, and 5 copies of himself appeared. Kid has spunk, I'll give him that, Zabuza acknowledged. One of the clones attempted to cleave a copy, only for it to pass through. Thinking it was a normal clone, Zabuza turned to the next target, only to be met with a moving strike aimed at his neck. What the hell? How did I feel that? Zabuza thought as Naruto began to slash elegantly, each movement resembling a drawing in the air. He created a hexagram, a lotus, and then a pyramid with his strikes, making his movements unpredictable and captivating. Zabuza grew frustrated at his own incompetence, unable to land a hit as his attacks passed through Naruto's clones. What technique is this? Zabuza demanded. It's a sword technique I created called Dance of the Illusion Dragon. I combined it with a technique from the Uzumaki clan and something a friend of mine, Shursui the teleporter, used, Naruto explained. Kakashi watched in amazement, unable to discern the difference between the clones with his Sharingan. Ah, I once fought a Konoha swordswoman whom I had great respect for. She was fierce and skilled, and your techniques remind me of hers. How are you related to the Red Death? Well, it's good they seem related. After all, I am her son, Naruto replied. Zabuza, surprised, smiled slightly. Okay, now this is exciting. Too bad I have to kill you. Only if you were my target. Zabuza, the real one, had to dodge a wind slash aimed at him. Why, you little? Kakashi emerged, swinging a powerful punch that sent Zabuza crashing into a tree. Grunting, Zabuza prepared to attack again, only to be struck by a sunban in the back of the neck, which Naruto eyed suspiciously. They left the scene similarly to the original story, but Zabuza was more injured. Naruto, can you handle the rest? I need a. Kakashi began but fell unconscious before finishing. Sensei, Sakura rushed to help him. Tazuna, is there a place where we can let these two rest? She asked. Yes, you can stay at my place. It's the least I can do after everything you've been through, Tazuna replied. Thanks, let's head out. That evening, they arrived at Tazuna's house and met his family, Tsunami and Inari. Feeling exhausted, they decided to talk in the morning and went to sleep. The next day, everyone woke up and gathered around Kakashi for a debriefing. Okay, so I'm pretty sure Zabuza is still alive. Naruto broke the news gravely. What? How didn't that hidden ninja kill him? Sakura questioned. Sakura, a Senbon, if hit in the right area, can put someone in a death-like state. Do you remember where those spots are? Sakura shook her head, and Kakashi answered, the back of the neck. Naruto nodded in agreement. Now, we don't have to worry for about 2 weeks with the damage inflicted on him, but the same goes for you, Sensei. Sorry, but my large pool of chakra doesn't allow me to learn medical ninjutsu except for those that affect me and others like me, so for now, you'll have to manage with a crutch for at least a week. Kakashi nodded, thanking Naruto for what he could do. Now, I should start my own mission I received from the Hokage last night. This is going to be a long week. I'll leave a clone here just in case, but we will be receiving assistance soon. Before you ask, my mission is to handle Gato and his men, so I'll take my time. Sakura looked at Naruto and said, Are you serious? That's so many bandits, close to 1,000 of them. Can you handle them? Do you need help? Naruto looked at her, a bit surprised, but he smiled. Yeah, I should be fine. I won't be going at them directly, and right now, with the skills you guys have, you won't be able to help, so just rest and train with Kakashi. If I need help, I'll ask, you know? Well, see ya. With that, Naruto headed out. After a few hours of rest, nearing midday, there was a knock at the door. Tsunami cautiously approached and opened it. Standing at the door was Team 10, Asuma, Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji. Hello, we are from Konoha and are the backup team that was requested. We are looking for Kakashi and his team, Asuma said. Oh, that's great. Please come in. Kakashi is resting right now from his injuries. After they entered, all the genin and team leaders gathered for a debriefing about what had happened, including why Naruto was missing. Well, good thing Naruto requested backup. How are you feeling, Kakashi? Asuma asked. Fine for now, but it's going to take about a week before I'm ready to fight. What about Naruto? Asuma inquired, but Kakashi gave him a look that conveyed everything that needed to be said. Ino, not entirely convinced, asked, We are talking about the same Naruto, right? The dead last for most of the year? Don't get me wrong, he did amazing at the genin exams, but he isn't that good, right? Trust me, Ino, the Naruto you knew at the academy wasn't the real Naruto. From what I have seen and heard, I'm surprised he hasn't sought revenge on the entire village right now. His skills are real, and that sword art was beautiful, like he was dancing and drawing with his sword, right, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura said, surprising everyone. Everyone looked bewildered, but Kakashi responded, Yeah, I honestly miss seeing that sword art since the time Kushina used it. There is a hidden part of the sword art that I'm not aware of, but it is strong and makes it one of the best arts for swords in the world. The only sad thing about the art is that only an Uzumaki can learn it. Everyone was astonished that Naruto knew such a technique. Shikamaru, however, had something on his mind from the start. What do you mean by what you heard? Sakura and Sasuke flinched at that question, which didn't go unnoticed by the group. Kakashi sighed and shared snippets of Naruto's childhood and the deception he faced. He spoke of the malnourishment and abandonment, from the orphanage to the actual truth of the fox hunts. He mentioned some of the abuse he had endured and the struggles for food. Up to this point, he was just 5 when the third found him after going through all that. There is more, but it's a little too much to mention. Anyway, after finding him and getting his own apartment, it didn't get better, but listing what has happened to him would probably fill a book. Everyone was shaken. Some were filled with rage, some with sadness, and others with feelings of uselessness and guilt. The girls were openly crying. Shikamaru, Choji, and Asuma were consumed with rage. Even Shikamaru didn't find it troublesome. The only one who showed no reaction was Sasuke, who believed he had it worse due to the Uchiha massacre. Why didn't anyone help him? What did he ever do to the village to deserve all that? Kakashi and Asuma exchanged glances, unsure if they should respond, but before they could, Naruto, or rather, a clone, appeared before them. That is something that was supposed to be hidden from the public, but everyone who is an adult is made aware. The difference is the ignorance coming from them, where they cannot tell the difference between a kunai and a seal. That is all I will say about it, but one thing I will allow is for you to guess. If you believe you know what it is, I will either confirm or deny it, and that's it. Now that that's out of the way, I'll return to my position, and before you ask, I'm just a clone of the boss. The clone then poofed away. Well, I can sadly understand his new cold demeanor towards us. I mean, we were not the friendliest of people growing up in the academy. Sakura said sadly. I wonder how Hinata is involved, considering how close they were at the end of the academy, Ino stated. From what I know, Naruto saved her from bullies when she was 4. Later, from what I heard, she saved his life as well, but I do not know the details. Since then, they have been close. He has been helping her become strong to fight the oppression she faced in her clan. Right now, they are inseparable. Sadly, Naruto had to be put in the Clan Restoration Act for his nearly extinct clan, so she has to share him, but she wholeheartedly agrees and encourages him to reclaim his clan. She said, and I quote, "You, who have been through so much already in life and are willing to sacrifice yourself for those you call precious, deserve all the love you can get, which I want to help with, but one thing. I'm the main wife." Everyone was surprised and started chuckling at her declaration. How strong is he? Sasuke asked, which annoyed everyone except Sakura, who was confused by the question. Honestly, I'm not sure, only the Hokage knows how strong he actually is. What I do know is he is a prodigy. He wants to learn more and train his eyes enough to be able to read a person's technique and understand it in a matter of hours, almost like the Sharingan. The only difference is that he understands the technique and can implement it into others' techniques. Sasuke felt envious and wondered if he could copy those techniques when he unlocked the Sharingan. In his mind, that power should rightfully belong to him, as he needed it while Naruto did not. He began to have deceitful thoughts while the others talked about the mission itself. Walking in the woods right after leaving Tazuna's house, Naruto created 20 clones that transformed into small animals, sending them around the town to look for any signs of Gado's men. As they scoured the area, he started his trek to Uzumaki. Halfway through, he received the information from one of his clones after it released the jutsu he had left at the house. With a hint of irritation, he sighed, prompting Kurama to inquire about his thoughts. Naruto, what bothers you in this situation? All they did was find out more about you, Kurama said. It's how late they started to show interest in me that is annoying. The fact that they don't know yet that I'm the son of the 4th Hokage is a relief, honestly, since I assume they won't stop bothering me with questions. Maybe they will think better of you though. I mean, before you were an orphan who was loud and, as the Nara say, troublesome. Now they know you come from a prestigious clan and are also a prince. Probably they will, but that is also what will bother me. I've noticed that this will start to occur when I inform everyone of my heritage. Oh, and how will it be bothersome? Kurama asked, his tone filled with interest. One of the special circumstances that occur in the art of deception is showing one's true character. They will finally want to know me and get close to me as they see I have worth for them or am just not a bother anymore. It could be out of interest, pity, or guilt. His tone grew colder. There are 2 ways people look at others that define a person's character. One of them is by using basic senses like seeing, hearing, and smelling to judge someone, either when they first meet them or when they are around others. Most of the time, that is how most people are, and usually, that decides if they like the person for a long time. The next way takes time to achieve except for a few. That would be insight and curiosity. It involves trying to understand a person by wondering why they do things or, as Kakashi has stated, looking underneath the underneath. It is difficult for people to look in-depth at what others do because most of the time they trust what they see or hear or even smell. Most of them never wanted to know about me before they knew my history. They only assumed they already knew me. I only want a genuine relationship, Not one based on my history like they would with the Uchiha. It's just a matter of time to see how things go from here on out. You won't forgive them yet then, Kurama stated after hearing what he said. Yeah, I can't honestly blame them when they were kids. They depended on their parents to determine what to like or dislike. Like Sakura's mother probably influenced Sakura to chase after the Uchiha for power as she has before. The payback, though, I will return, that is for sure when the chances appear. He said with an amused smirk, which Kurama mirrored. You probably are one of the most interesting humans I have ever met. Ever the entertaining and meddlesome host, Kurama laughed. Half a day into the trip, one of Naruto's clones popped into existence, informing him they had found most of Gato's men and the base they were at. He created another clone and allowed it to Hiration back to the town so they could proceed with plans to take out all the men slowly. The clones would then take over those they defeated by transforming, allowing them to lay traps in the enemy lines. The rest of the day until nightfall saw the defeat of grunts and a few clones to infuriate their base already. For Naruto, he was just at the entrance of the bridge leading to Yuzu. He decided to rest and wait until morning before venturing a bit into the ruins of his clan's village. The next day, he woke up and began his morning routine, cleaning up the campsite. Approaching the bridge, he noticed it was long and wide, made of white stone with railings that used to have designs on them, but age and damage from the invasion made them barely recognizable. Once he reached it, he swiped his palm with a kunai to draw blood and placed his hand on a barrier that appeared before him. Afterward, the barrier opened up with an entrance for just one person. Crossing through, he looked back as the barrier closed itself, allowing no one else to pass. A few minutes later, as he walked and looked at both sides of the bridge where whirlpools surrounded it, he could see the natural defenses the village had that made it difficult to invade. Even Kurama noted that with the seals at the entrance and the whirlpools surrounding the village, he would have trouble getting near it too. Approaching the gates, he was met with a devastating sight. His mother had shown him how the village used to look. It had once been one with nature, nestled in the ravine of the mountains surrounding it. A large canal ran through the middle with multiple houses and shops surrounding it. Now, however, the village was completely destroyed. All that remained were ruins and structures that had once made the village great and beautiful. Vegetation had begun to grow over the buildings, making it look as if the area itself was dead. What was worse were the skeletons that had survived. He knew their clan's bloodline gave them a strong life force, but the fact that their bodies remained intact was both amazing and disturbing. Many skeletons appeared to belong to adults, likely ninjas who had died in battle. Slowly, he began to walk in, offering prayers for those who had died nobly. Shops, homes, and even schools looked like they had been targeted in the attack, which felt disgusting to him. As he reached the top of the hill leading to the Kage building, he entered and headed to the main office. The inside of the building appeared to be in good condition, probably due to seals keeping it clean. The office had a round trapezoid design with a desk at the back and windows overlooking the village, with bookcases lining both sides of the walls. They were all empty, likely because either the Uzumaki had hidden any knowledge to prevent it from falling into enemy hands or enemies had taken them. Most likely the former. This probably looked amazing in the past. Honestly, this village would have been one I would have been closest to, seeing how integrated they were with nature, Kurama said with a somber tone. Yeah, I can agree. There was just so much unneeded destruction. Well, as they say, people are usually afraid of the unknown, and that fear led to this. Kurama, a little worried, asked, "What's wrong, Naruto? It's unlike you to be so quiet." "Kurama, I think I've decided," Naruto replied. "What decision?" "I want to rebuild this village. I want to raise it from the ashes and show the world that Yuzu may be gone but not forgotten. It's going to take a good while, but can I ask for your support, Kurama? I know I won't be able to do this without you." Hearing Naruto, Kurama felt a sense of gratitude for being sealed within him. Not only did Naruto not blame him for his misfortunes, but he also understood that Kurama was a being with feelings, forced into unfortunate circumstances. Lastly, he had asked for Kurama's support without ever demanding it, respecting his decisions and advice. Without any hesitation, Naruto was suddenly brought into his mindscape. Wondering what was going on, he went to the gate where Kurama was being held but noticed how empty it looked. Worried, he started to look around nervously, hoping Kurama was okay until he saw a silhouette approaching. One of the most beautiful women he had ever seen came up to the gate. She had long blonde hair and red eyes, standing about 170 centimeters tall. She wore a short red kimono with white outlines and a black sash wrapped around by a red rope with 2 chimes hanging from it. She also wore a backless, black sleeveless undershirt and matching black shorts. What piqued his interest and made him aware of who she was were the fox ears on top of her head and the 9 tails behind her. "Kurama," she said, smiling as she approached the gate and passed through it, hugging him closely with his head against her chest. Naruto, blushing, tried to speak but found himself at a loss for words, causing Kurama to giggle at his antics. "Yeah, Naruto, it's me. I just thought that if you trust me so much to ask for my help and that we will be together for a long time, I wanted to show you how I really look. So, what do you think?" Still blushing, Naruto smirked and said, "I have never met a more beautiful woman before. Plus, I kind of feel comfortable where I am right now, huh?" Kurama giggled at his antics. "To answer your question, Naruto, I will wholeheartedly help you with your ambitions. I want to see where it leads with me standing alongside you. Please allow me to help you." She humbly bowed as she asked. When she looked up, she smiled warmly at seeing him give her a warm, approving smile, one she had not seen except when he talked to Hinata. Naruto hugged her tightly. "I'm glad you're with me along the way, and thank you." She smiled and returned the hug, wondering where their future would lead them. It's been 4 days since Naruto left, and subtle differences have emerged in the village. A few thugs have avoided causing harm to others or have redirected their fellow thugs away from the village. This shift has made it easier for both Team 7 and Team 10 to train the genins. Those with lower chakra reserves, like Ino and Sakura, have been able to practice tree walking and water walking. Meanwhile, Sasuke, Shikamaru, and Choji have barely managed to complete their tree walking exercises, with Shikamaru not putting in as much effort as the others. Sasuke, frustrated with his inability to master the exercise, began to berate his teammates, which only served to annoy them further. This has been the dynamic over the past few days. One early morning, as everyone was waking up and heading to the living room for breakfast, Sakura offered to help Tsunami with the meal while Ino set the table. Inari, Tsunami's son, expressed his frustrations about Gato and his army of thugs, lamenting how they were wasting their lives trying to oppose him. He believed they were fortunate to have the lives they did, not understanding the hardships he faced. Many in the room sympathized with him, recognizing that he had likely lost someone close to him. Suddenly, a knock at the door interrupted the conversation, and Choji went to answer it. When Choji opened the door, he let Naruto in, who immediately sensed the tension in the room. Inari, unaware of who he was speaking to, began ranting again. "So, another ninja who got a free pass in life, huh? Why bother coming over to waste your life? You alone can't do anything." But Inari couldn't finish his sentence as Naruto grabbed him by the neck. "I would recommend you shut up, kid. You have no idea how lucky you actually are. Unlike you, there are others who have no family, no money, and not even a home to go to. You at least still have a home, your mother, and your grandpa. The suffering you mention pales in comparison. If you had lived even a month of my life after the age of 4, you would have considered ending it all. Enough about that. Just know that by the time we leave, Gato will no longer exist here." With that, Naruto stormed out, leaving the others in stunned silence. Inari, overwhelmed, began to cry and left the room as well. He was about to say that he'd tried, didn't he? Ino asked, her voice shaky and tearful. The others looked stressed by the revelation. Choji stopped eating, unable to enjoy his food, while Sakura and Tsunami, who had overheard, began to cry. Kakashi and Asuma remained quiet, letting the weight of the moment sink in, realizing how close they had come to losing Naruto. Sasuke, brooding quietly, understood the atmosphere and chose to remain silent. In the forest, Naruto struggled to cope with the weight of the words exchanged. He couldn't handle the looks directed at him after his slip of the tongue. Frustrated, he began to smash his fist into the trees, breaking off chunks of bark with each hit. After taking down 10 trees, he paused to cool down. You okay now, Naruto? Sakura asked. Yeah, just let his words get to me. I know he was letting his emotions control him, but still, Naruto replied. I'm here for you. I'll always be with you, Sakura reassured him. Naruto smiled and said, Thank you, Sakura. Suddenly, he sensed someone approaching. It was Sakura, who appeared behind him and watched for a moment to see if he had calmed down. I know you're there, Sakura. Can I help you with something? He called out. Startled, Sakura stepped out from behind the tree and approached him, sitting down beside him to calm her nerves. Mind if I ask you something? I know it's not a good time, but it feels like the only moment we have alone, she said. Curious about her question, Naruto encouraged her to continue. I know I was naive about what you went through in your past, but was everything a lie? I realize now that I was blind to my own actions. It's like I was looking down a tunnel, never paying attention to what was behind me. Naruto responded, Most of. It was a lie when it came to my studies, attitude, clothing, pretty much everything. I had to do that for personal reasons to survive. If you ask me correctly, I'll respond, but just know I did have a few sentiments that were true. One was that I actually liked you. I did before your fangirl phase started to show. I also knew who you liked, so I decided to sacrifice what I had for you to be happy, but it was also to help me forget you. Surprisingly, it was hard for a while since you were the first honest girl who was friendly to me. Sakura listened quietly, her expression a mix of concern and wonder. As she absorbed his words, memories flooded back to her. She recalled a blonde kid who used to play with her and compliment her big forehead, which she had once hated. Now, she realized that it had been Naruto all along. What changed, she thought. The last time she had been friendly with him was after he had picked her up one day, and they had played with Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji. But she also remembered blaming him for something, the look of betrayal and pain in his eyes. Naruto, I know this may sound like pity, but I just realized when things changed for us, she began, her voice trembling slightly. I want to apologize for my foolishness and my cowardice in never wanting to understand you. I just followed what I was told, leading us to where we are now. I don't need your forgiveness if you don't want to give it, but I want you to know that I am truly sorry. As Naruto listened, he looked into her eyes, which revealed raw emotions of sorrow, guilt, bitterness, and anger. Yet, amidst it all, he saw the truth in her words. He sighed, realizing that she was beginning to understand him, not the image he projected, but the real him. I can't forgive you yet, but I am willing to give you one more chance. Don't mess it up, Sakura, because if you do, I won't care if you die on any of our missions next time. She shook slightly but nodded her head. Still hesitant, Naruto decided to reward her courage. Is there anything else you're wondering? Sakura bit her lip, finally releasing a breath she had been holding. Well, I know it's insensitive of me, but can I hear about what you've been through and how you handled it? I know you have your secrets, but I promise to be someone you can talk to about them. I want to understand your journey and some of your pain. Surprised by her question, Naruto thought to himself, should I share some things with her? From what I can see in her eyes, she seems to be in pain, and her guilt is eating her from the inside. But she also seems to wonder about me. His inner voice replied, I would say yes. You're still young and have barely had genuine friends your age, other than Hinata. If she wants to know more, let her in a little, but make sure she knows you won't tell her everything since you can't fully trust her yet. Got it? Thanks again, he thought back. I'll share a bit with you, Sakura, but not everything because I honestly can't fully trust you. I rarely do with anyone, even the Hokage, since he hid a lot from me and didn't help defend me from the pains I had to endure. Understood? She seemed to gain a spark of life in her eyes as she nodded. So, Sakura, what do you want to know? Naruto asked. Sakura, seizing the opportunity to learn more about him, began to think of a question. When did you start pretending to be someone else? Naruto pondered for a moment. I believe it was when I was 5, honestly. Sakura was surprised that he had been able to hide himself so early in life and how effectively he had done so. As long as it doesn't reveal your secret, can I ask why you started hiding so early? Sakura asked nervously. Naruto sighed and replied, Let's just say the village didn't want me to be strong or smart for them. If you want to know more and talk about it, then start searching. Appalled by what he said about the villagers, Sakura decided to end that line of questioning. She knew that Naruto wouldn't continue discussing it further. What is your actual dream, Naruto? I remember in the past you kept saying you would be the Hokage to the point that it almost became your catchphrase, but now I'm not so sure. That was a question he knew the answer to, but he hesitated to share it. It could interfere with his plans, yet deep down he wanted someone to know some of his aspirations. I want to revive my clan that was betrayed. I want to make it as strong as it was before, or even stronger. I want to have a family. Something I've never had. It might seem weird or funny to you or anyone who has had a family before, but for me, it feels like I've been starved of it since I was young. I know I will have to be with other women to be my wives, but I want them to be happy and to share as much love as I can. As Sakura listened, she noticed how hollow his words sounded when he spoke about having a family. It was as if he didn't truly believe he would ever have one. What did he go through to think he wouldn't have a family or that anyone would love him? She closed her eyes for a moment, breathing in and out slowly. When she opened her eyes, Naruto noticed a newfound clarity in them. Naruto, I may not know you as well as I should, but you deserve a family and love. You deserve as much love as you can get from what I've heard. Just be patient, I know you will find them, okay? After saying that, Sakura hugged Naruto, who began to tear up at hearing someone say that to him after so long, since Hinata. It felt real to him. For most of his life, he believed he was trapped in a nightmare due to all the pain he had endured. The panic attacks and nightmares he faced every night did nothing to help his self-esteem. He didn't know how to respond to her hug, so he kept his arms at his sides, letting her embrace him as tears fell. After a few minutes, she released him, and it felt as though a bond was slowly forming between them. Relieved and happy, Sakura decided to return to the others since she hadn't told them where she had gone. Naruto said goodbye and resolved to continue his mission. Later that night, Naruto approached the base where the thugs serving Gato were staying. 2 guards were stationed at 3 entrances, blocking the conventional way of entering. Naruto had cleverly set up a few clones to act as guards, and one of them approached him in the woods. Everything set? Naruto asked. Yes, boss. All the traps are set, and we're ready at the entrances in case anyone tries to escape. Good. Let's get ready to start in 15 minutes, okay? Yes, boss. After the clone left, Naruto went to the only clone that was with an actual thug. With a swift move, the clone eliminated the thug, and Naruto transformed into him, waiting for the right moment. The clones had set explosive tags around the base, hidden from view, and had laid trap seals that would paralyze, poison, or freeze anyone who got too close. 15 minutes later, a large explosion destroyed the base completely. A few thugs who had been outside tried to escape, only to be taken down by kunai and shuriken thrown at them. Finally, after destroying the base, Naruto releases the silencing seals that were surrounding the area and starts heading back. He enters Tazuna's house to find the genins tired and worn out. Kakashi and Asuma are discussing the bridge's progress with Tazuna. Tazuna, how long will it be before you finish the bridge? Kakashi asks. I should be done by the day after tomorrow, Tazuna responds. Thinking ahead, Asuma states, then tomorrow is probably when Zabuza will attack. It would be something I would do to stop the bridge from being finished. Kakashi takes a moment to consider the possibilities and finally says, okay, so Team 10, along with my team except Naruto, will go to the bridge to protect Tazuna. Naruto, I want you to stay here in case they try to do something to Tazuna's family. Everyone understand? They all nod their heads and head to bed, preparing for the confrontation while Naruto sits on the roof, gazing at the stars, lost in thought. Naruto reflects on what occurred with one of his clones. The clone had met Haku, the missing Nin hunter who saved Zabuza a week ago, and contemplated their conversation. In the flashback, the clone of Naruto is lying on a tree, pretending to be the boss. As he rests, he senses a ninja approaching. He knows there is no malicious intent directed at him, but he puts up his guard lightly and waits. When the person gets close, he grabs what looks like a girl's arm to prevent her from getting too near. It's not nice to wake someone from a nap, you know, he says groggily. Sorry, but you'll catch a cold if you keep sleeping here, the stranger replies. What are you doing here? Not wanting her to act suspiciously, Naruto says, Thank you, but luckily I don't get sick. Who are you? The stranger smiles and introduces herself as Haku. They begin talking, and Naruto volunteers to help Haku collect herbs. So, what are the herbs for, Haku? I know a little about them but not enough to guess what they do, he asks. They are to heal wounds. I have someone precious to me who got hurt, and I want to help heal him, Haku explains. Ah, I can relate. I have someone precious to me that I would do anything to see healthy too, Naruto replies. Haku smiles at his comment and asks, Is that why you fight? I noticed you're a ninja from Konoha, but I wanted to hear it from you directly. Naruto's expression grows serious. I've been through what many would call hell on earth for most of my life. I've been tortured, starved, and alone without any reason why I had to go through it. To me, those I consider precious are worth more than my own life. I would fight to protect them. Konoha be dead if they ever decide to go against them. Haku's eyes widen as she hears Naruto's words. She can see the darkness in his eyes when he speaks of his past, but warmth fills them when he mentions those he cares about. This one, someone barely a genin, has seen the dark side of this world firsthand and still holds on to something that has saved him from breaking, Haku thinks. If that's what you're fighting for, then you will end up being a strong ninja in the future, Thono. Thank you for talking with me and helping, but I have to go, she says. She starts to get up, but a comment stops her in her tracks. Thanks for talking with me too, and say hello to Zabuza for me as well. The clone then releases itself, relaying the conversation back to Naruto. During his travels back, Naruto wonders what to do regarding Haku and Zabuza. They are missing Nin, but they are also just trying to survive in this chaotic world. He wants to know more about them, but sadly, they are enemies he needs to defeat right now. At the same time, he wonders if there is a way to help them or get them to work with him. He has an idea on how to do so using Uzushiogakure as a base. Needing to work on his plan, he gets up and leaves a shadow clone while he heads into the forest surrounding the village. The next morning, everyone is eating breakfast at the dining table. As before, Sakura is helping Tsunami in the kitchen while the others eat and wait for their senseis to arrive with the plan for the day. They all know that Zabuza will probably show up since the bridge is almost completed. Naruto, on the other hand, is in his room, lying down and thinking about others who can join his cause. Kakashi and Asuma arrive and call everyone into Kakashi's room for a meeting, including Naruto. Kakashi begins, We are sure Zabuza will come today to try to finish what he started last time. With that in mind, I want everyone but Naruto to come with us to the bridge. Naruto, I want you to stay back to defend Tazuna's family from any possible attacks. From what I know of Gato, he is ruthless and will do anything to win. Naruto nods in understanding. Sasuke, however, smirks, misunderstanding the situation. So Naruto is useless that Kakashi is leaving him behind, huh? He laughs. The others start to get annoyed with his arrogance, including Ino and Sakura. Sakura is understandably upset after her conversation with Naruto yesterday, but Ino has been changing slowly since Naruto has changed. No, you idiot. I can use Fuinjutsu to create a barrier that won't allow anyone to enter this house. With it, I'm the best option to defend Tsunami and Inari, Naruto states with a clear tone. Sasuke falls silent, gnashing his teeth in frustration. Naruto is correct. While he is here, Team 7 and Team 10 will protect Tazuna and the workers. Be prepared for a fight, though, since we won't know when they will attack. Everyone except Sasuke responds with a unified yes. After a brief time skip, while the others have gone to the bridge, Naruto is on the roof, relaxing and observing the somewhat cloudy skies. He finally understands Shikamaru's obsession with cloud watching, which makes him chuckle a bit. It is honestly peaceful. But all things come to an end when he hears some noise approaching the house. Looking over, he sees a group of around 20 men surrounding the house. Naruto sighed as he used the Hiraishin technique to teleport into his room. Stepping out, he found Tsunami and Inari looking frightened. Tsunami Inari, You don't have to worry. They can't enter this house without using at least a couple of A-rank jutsus. And since they're just bandits, they won't be able to get in, he reassured them. Their anxiety eased a bit, but it returned when they saw Naruto heading toward the front door. Naruto, where are you going? Please don't tell me you're going outside to meet them. There are too many of them, just stay inside, Tsunami pleaded. Naruto smiled confidently. Trust me, Tsunami. I'm more than meets the eye. Wait for me here for a few minutes, and I'll take care of this. He opened the door and closed it behind him, reactivating the seals he had in place. Outside, he could hear the bandits swearing, bantering, and making threats. You guys have about 10 seconds before I decide to act. Just know that if I do, none of you will be alive afterward, he warned. The bandits laughed at his bravado as he began to count down slowly. When he reached 10, he vanished in a puff of smoke, startling the bandits. Without warning, a purple barrier surrounded them, with 4 clones positioned at each corner. Naruto, having used a bit of wind chakra to jump higher, began forming hand signs. Fire style, fireball jutsu, he shouted, sending a fireball toward them. He followed up with another set of signs. Wind style, great breakthrough. The fireball intensified, engulfing all the bandits within the barrier. Once it was over, he used a water jutsu to extinguish the flames. As Naruto turned to head back inside, he suddenly sensed a threat and jumped aside just in time to avoid a few shuriken that landed where he had been standing. Intrigued, he created a clone to stand back-to-back with him, keeping watch. Closing his eyes, he concentrated on his hearing and chakra to identify anyone nearby. He sensed chakra at the edge of the forest. Out, I know you're in the forest. You won't be able to hide from me, he called out. A man stepped out from behind a tree. He appeared to be in his early 30s, wearing a dark blue and gray sleeveless jumpsuit with an arm guard on his right arm. A metal umbrella was strapped to his back, and he had black boots. The sword he pulled out caught Naruto's attention. It was the famous Raijin sword, developed by the second Hokage. So, how do I have the honor of meeting the traitor of Konoha, Aoi Rokusho? Naruto said, surprising Aoi, who hadn't expected to be recognized. Aoi, now wary, prepared for a fight. Well, I'm surprised someone recognizes me. But brat, I'm going to need you to die now so I can do my job, he replied. Ah, so Gato hired you. I wonder if he let Zabuza know, Naruto said casually. Aoi rushed at him, swinging his sword horizontally. Naruto anticipated the attack, backflipped, and propelled himself into the air while throwing a few shuriken. Unbeknownst to Aoi, Naruto created a seal-less clone and substituted with it. Aoi dodged the shuriken and began attacking the clone with multiple slashes, which it skillfully avoided. Frustrated by the dodging, Aoi felt heat behind him and turned to see a fireball jutsu approaching. He slashed at it, splitting it in half, but was then hit by a wind-style jutsu from the side that sent him flying into a tree. Naruto quickly retrieved Aoi's sword, sealing it away. Furious at losing his weapon, Aoi pulled out his umbrella and spun it. Senbon shower, he yelled, unleashing a flurry of senbon at Naruto. Caught off guard, Naruto tried to jump away but was hit multiple times, causing him to fall to the ground. Aoi, believing he had won, approached Naruto, only to discover it was a shadow clone that vanished. Naruto appeared behind him, sending a chill down Aoi's spine. In a swift motion, Naruto ended Aoi's life. Afterward, he burned the body but kept the head sealed for his bounty. Returning to Tsunami's house, he found her and Inari, who was trying to defend her with a pan that was comically small in comparison to him. They recognized Naruto and finally felt at ease. Naruto laughed as they fell to their knees, sighing in relief. You guys are safe now, but just in case, I'll leave a few clones around the house. I'm heading to join the others. Things are about to heat up, he said. They nodded, and Inari smiled as Naruto ruffled his hair before leaving. Meanwhile, on the roof, the rest of Team 7 and Team 10 were keeping watch. Kakashi was still engrossed in his book, giggling occasionally, much to the annoyance of the others. Asuma observed his team, who were doing light exercises and pretending to train. Sakura practiced her chakra control, following Naruto's advice, unaware that it would help her grow her chakra and stamina. Sasuke was also practicing but struggled with the tree climbing exercise. He made it to the mark that Kakashi had instructed him to reach a few days ago, but he wanted to exceed those expectations. Without anyone noticing, a mist began to envelop them, the bridge, and the workers. After finishing her exercise, Sakura noticed the mist and quickly informed the others. Kakashi and Asuma were caught off guard by the slow-moving mist that surrounded them. They gathered around the builders, including Tazuna. The genin stood in front of the jounin. Suddenly, senbons came flying from different directions, forcing the genin to defend themselves while pushing the builders away, while the two jounin had to leap out of the way. Kakashi cursed for being separated from the rest of the team and decided to lift his headband to reveal his Sharingan. Without warning, Zabuza rushed at him, swinging his weapon. Kakashi instinctively pulled out a kunai to parry the attack, managing to deflect it but was still sent flying by the force of the blow. Hours passed as the group traveled in silence, a tension hanging in the air since they left the village. The silence was a result of yet another disagreement between Naruto and Sasuke. As soon as they had the chance to talk freely, Sasuke demanded that Naruto either share his jutsus or spar with him so he could learn them. Sasuke still didn't realize that he couldn't steal anything from Naruto due to his seals. Naruto couldn't remember if he had mentioned this before or if he had simply ignored it, but Sasuke kept insisting. After Naruto firmly said, "No," he fell silent for the rest of the journey. Frustrated by the lack of response, Sasuke vowed to tell the council about it, which made Naruto smirk inwardly. He had ways to twist the argument in his favor with both the civil and ninja councils. "Kakashi-sensei, can I speed up and go on ahead? I still have to turn in my secret A-rank mission that was assigned to me before we left," Naruto asked, eager to distance himself from Sasuke. Kakashi, aware of Naruto's true motivation, smiled and nodded, allowing him to go ahead. Naruto nodded back and vanished in a body flicker. "Kakashi-sensei, why did you let him go? I know he's alone, but isn't it dangerous to travel by himself?" Sakura asked, a sentiment echoed by the others who nodded in agreement. "His mission takes priority. Not only is he strong, but his speed is incredible. Very few can keep up with him. That's why I allowed him to go," Kakashi explained. The others nodded in understanding, while Sasuke struggled to hide his growing jealousy. A few hours later, Naruto finally spotted the gate to Konoha. Suddenly, he was enveloped in a tight hug against a woman's chest, causing him to blush slightly, though he enjoyed it nonetheless. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed the light brown trench coat she was wearing, which gave him a hint of her identity. He smirked and decided to tease her back by playfully smacking her rear. Looking up, he saw a red-faced, smirking, yet slightly shy Enko Mitarashi, known as the Snake Mistress of Konoha. Their relationship had grown closer over the years, deepening through the shared experiences they had in the village. Flashback. It all began when Naruto was 7 years old, running away from a mob that was after him for something he hadn't done. The mob knew the truth but sought an excuse to hurt him. Knowing a few hiding spots that had been discovered, Naruto took a risk and ventured into the training grounds, specifically Training Ground 44, also known as the Forest of Death. He had gained enough skills to survive the outer edges of the forest from his training, so he decided to go deeper when he heard crying in the distance. Worried that someone had entered the forest by mistake, he rushed toward the sound. He stopped on a branch of a tree, hiding behind it. Peeking over, he finally saw who was crying. To his surprise, it was a beautiful young woman with dark hair tinged with purple and dark brown eyes. She wore a traditional trench coat over a fitted chainmail mesh that covered her from neck to thigh. The outfit left little to the imagination, revealing her figure. What caught his attention was the kunai she held in her hand. He recognized her as the only other person in the village who faced similar treatment as he did. He understood her feelings of betrayal and loneliness. Every time she walked through the village, she was met with disgust, lust, anger, mistrust, and wariness. It was a suffocating feeling that could wear anyone down. Fortunately, unlike him, she hadn't been attacked, as she was known to be strong on her own. Not wanting her to do something she would regret, Naruto jumped down from the tree and landed in front of her. Startled, she threw the kunai she was holding, hitting Naruto in the arm. He gritted his teeth to suppress a yelp as he removed the kunai from his arm. The beautiful woman, now known as Anko, widened her eyes in disbelief at what she had done. After shaking off her shock, she hurriedly applied first aid to his arm to stop the bleeding. Confused by his smile, she asked, "Hey, why are you smiling? I just hit you with a kunai by accident. If I were you, I would be furious." Naruto replied, "It's because I was able to stop you from doing something you would have regretted. I know the feelings you had at the time since I've experienced them too. You don't have to go through that pain alone, you know. If you need someone to talk to open up to, I'm here. It's not much, but I want to be your support and anchor to show you that someone actually cares about you." She didn't know how to respond at first. Trusting her voice not to crack after hearing his words felt impossible. But as she listened to him, tears began to well up in her eyes. For the first time in a long while, someone wanted to talk to her and be around her. She knew who he was and understood that he wasn't the QB. She was aware of his struggles and had helped him a bit by secretly providing clothes and food when she could. Looking into his eyes, she realized that what he said was true, and she didn't notice when he moved closer. When he hugged her, she flinched, unsure how to react. Many men had tried to touch her inappropriately, leading her to develop a habit of pushing or punishing any guy who touched her out of nowhere. But with Naruto, she felt relief and warmth wash over her. She returned the hug, sobbing on his shoulder as he rubbed her back, showing that he was there for her. After their first meeting in the forest, they began to talk more. Over the years, their trust in each other deepened, and they grew more NTMT. What started as small teasing evolved into gestures of affection. She knew about his relationship with Hinata, who also loved him, but she had made up her mind now that he was a genin. She decided to seek Hinata's permission to be with him after learning he was being put into the Clan Restoration Act. Hinata smiled and agreed, surprised Anko by leaning in and kissing her deeply. Anko tried to pull back at first but found herself lost in the kiss, excitement bubbling within her. When they finally separated, Anko wore a dazed smile that made Hinata giggle. Hinata told her that if she was going to date Naruto, she would also be dating her and welcomed her to the family. Those words were what Anko had longed to hear. She hugged Hinata, tears of joy streaming down her face, and rushed to the gate as she sensed Naruto approaching the village. Hinata waved goodbye and asked her to kiss him for her, making Anko blush and nod. Back with Naruto, he was still feeling her warmth, making her hide her head on his shoulder, trying to suppress a no. As he turned to face her, he intended to tease her, but was taken aback by her next move. She pulled him in and kissed him with an intensity filled with desire and love. Naruto returned the kiss, pulling her closer and engaging more intimately, playfully biting her lower lip, which made her gasp in surprise. Seizing the moment, he darted his tongue into her mouth, massaging hers, causing her to softly as he continued to hold and tease her. They finally separated, a bridge of saliva connecting their lips, resting their foreheads against each other, sighing in contentment. It took half a day for Teams 7 and 10 to return to Konoha. After check-in, they barely made it past the gates when they spotted Naruto resting on a tree limb. He knew he still needed to report back with his team. "Okay, you guys, let's go meet with the Hokage," Kakashi said. They all nodded and headed toward the tower. A few minutes later, they stood before the Hokage as Kakashi recounted their mission. He detailed the attacks from the Demon Brothers, their first fight against Zabuza, including Sasuke's substitution with Sakura to survive, and the aftermath of Gato's attack. Hiruzen had already heard much of this from Naruto, so he remained composed during the report. Iruka, on the other hand, was astonished by Naruto's strength. He had thought Naruto was exaggerating earlier, but now it was all confirmed. Noticing Iruka's stare, Naruto flashed his signature foxy smirk, which made Iruka smile and chuckle inwardly. Some members of the group noticed Naruto's unusual formality with the Hokage, which created an awkward atmosphere during pauses in the report. This behavior was unlike him, making Hiruzen uncomfortable. Once the report concluded, everyone was dismissed except Naruto, as Hiruzen requested him to stay for a moment. Iruka sensed something was off and stood up to leave as well. Just as he was about to pass Naruto, he stopped, placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, and smiled, which Naruto returned with a nod. Now alone with the Hokage, Naruto braced himself for the conversation he knew was coming. After a few moments of awkward silence, Hiruzen began. Naruto, what's wrong? Ever since the council meeting, you've seemed distant from me. I just wanted to know if I did something. Naruto sighed. Nothing really happened. It's just the consequences of your actions and decisions. I'm honestly tired, hurt, and disappointed. Anbu and the Hokage widened their eyes at his words. Hiruzen asked why, and Naruto slowly began to express his feelings. Gigi, you've kept too many secrets from me that I should have known. Even worse, those secrets were revealed to the public, making the need to hide them insignificant. From knowing who my mother is to what I keep imprisoned inside me, I have so many questions. I have asked you multiple times why they hated me, why they attacked me and discriminated against me, but most importantly, why was I alone? I hated the feeling of loneliness and pain I felt every day. What's worse is that I had to learn some of my secrets from the civilians themselves. It was honestly devastating to find out from others rather than those I trusted. You said it was to protect me, right? But who was going to protect me? How does it protect me? It just made me resent this village for not protecting a child that needed love and care, something the first Hokage wanted when he built the village. He would be so disgusted with how the village is now. It's also why I'm so hurt and tired. The Hokage could only lower his head in shame at everything Naruto had laid out in the open. He realized he had been ignorant of everything going on around Naruto and couldn't deny it. The ANBU, on the other hand, were starting to get irritated with the disrespect the Hokage was receiving. Nico, also known as Yugao Yuzuki, told them to hold still as they continued listening. She wanted to know where this was going since she had a soft spot for the boy. You know how messed up my mentality is right now? I sleep 4 hours throughout the whole day and night. I keep getting recurring nightmares that keep me awake from everything this village has done to me. Do you remember a Yamanaka from a few years back who ended up needing to be locked up, secured, watched, and given therapy because he kept yelling and crying, trying to attempt suicide and literally passing out whenever an Uchiha got near him? Naruto's voice rose, making the others nervous. They had never seen this side of Naruto before, and it disturbed them. The Hokage nodded in affirmation. Naruto started to breathe a little erratically, recalling memories from that time. Naruto, please take a deep breath. Calm down. I'm here for you, remember? Just let out everything you've been holding in slowly. You need to release this pain you've been carrying inside you. Just know I'm here, okay? He felt as if he were being hugged and knew Kurama was embracing him in his mindscape. He thanked her and let himself be comforted as he slowly calmed down. Finally letting out a deep breath, he continued, that Yamanaka was one of the few in a mob that was chasing me when I was 10. I was still training a bit at that time, but I wasn't strong yet. He thought he could use his clan's technique to mess with my mind and let the others attack me without me retaliating, so he performed it perfectly and got inside my mind. The things he saw in my memories of what I went through. It turned him into what he still is right now. What the civilians did didn't turn him into what he is, but it was what the ninjas did that broke him and made him lose his trust in humanity. I literally saw his soul break slowly when I stared into his eyes while he was inside my head. Those who remembered how the Yamanaka had acted and how he seemed afraid of all ninjas, especially Uchihas, felt a chill at the thought of what he had gone through. They all had one thought in their minds: it couldn't be that bad, right? By the time he invaded my head, I had seen and experienced all the possible ways of pain and torture that were humanly possible. Whenever I was caught, I would be cut by swords, kunais, and anything they could find to hurt me. Worse was when ninjas would pull my nails, skin, and teeth off me roughly and slowly. I was put in horrible environments, from broken-down cabins in the winter while naked to being left in the rain after one of their lynches. Other means of torture included starving and waterboarding, to things no kid should ever go through. I was forced to lose my innocence by the age of 8 by drunken Uchihas. That finally broke me completely. As Naruto recounted these experiences, tears streamed down his face without him realizing it. Everyone in the room was also crying or trying to hold back their tears but failing. Even the ANBU, known for hiding their emotions, were tearing up. This boy, no, this man, had gone through things that no one should have to endure. Even though some despised the QB for what happened in the past, they never thought the attacks had gone that far. The remorse for allowing this to happen to Naruto was eating them alive. They felt suffocated by the killer intent that Nico and Hiruzen were releasing at that moment. The Hokage was ashamed of what this village had done. Even more, he felt like he had failed his supposed grandson for never noticing his pain sooner. Nico was ready to hunt down and confront those who had attacked Naruto. The Ice Queens of Konoha, Anko, Yugao, Kurenai, and Hana Inuzuka, deeply cared for Naruto and had grown close to him ever since he had helped Anko in her time of need. She felt like she had failed him for not protecting him when he was younger. He had been so kind and nice to them, hiding his pain so as not to worry them. But this was too much. She couldn't control her emotions and cried uncontrollably. Out of nowhere, Naruto started to laugh a little, but it sounded hollow, almost lifeless. Thankfully, he calmed down again with Kurama's help, but that only made the others worry for his mental health with his rapid emotional changes. You know, the funniest thing about this? I met the QB after that night with those two Uchihas. You would think I would be scared of a huge fox growling at me and ready to eat me, right? Wrong. His sudden yell made them all jump. They didn't know what was going to happen next but waited for him to continue. See, when I met her, she was actually crying. Yes, crying. She kept quietly saying, "I'm sorry," over and over again. The tailed beast with the most hate for humans was crying for me. She told me it was her fault for what I went through. She told me that she never meant to attack this village when I was born. My mother, while giving birth to me, was attacked by an Uchiha who successfully kidnapped her. She was extracted from my mother and placed under a genjutsu, forced to attack without the ability to fight back. She revealed that she was actually somewhat friends with my mother and had promised her, before being sealed within me, to protect me. She is the reason I am alive today. The fact that even the QB pitted this man left everyone feeling disgusted. Even more so when they learned that the QB's attack all those years ago wasn't even her fault. They didn't know what to think. They had all blamed her for the deaths of those close to them, but now, knowing that an Uchiha was the cause of all their pain, they were at a loss. Hiruzen, wanting answers, decided to ask, "Naruto, where were my NBU at the time you were attacked? I know you're a censor and a good one at that, so I'm sure you noticed them at some point in your life." Naruto sighed and replied, "From what I can tell, many of them actually helped the mob indirectly. The only ones who actually helped me were Nico, Inu, and Weasel. Honestly, I have to thank them for saving my life multiple times, and I'm grateful for that." Hiruzen began to release a significant amount of killing intent, which affected even those outside the tower. "Naruto, are you sure it was a good idea to let them know about me?" Kurama asked, worried for Na. "Yes, they need to know how they messed up. They need to understand where I stand regarding the village and that they need to make it up to me. It will make it easier to gain more benefits for us that way." Kurama, now understanding the plan, nodded in agreement. "Remember, Naruto, Hinata, Anko, and I are here for you when you need to talk to someone. You are not alone anymore and will never be. We are just patiently waiting for you whenever you want to open up to us, okay?" Naruto thanked her and decided to talk to the two later this week. After leaving Yugao from their get-together, he arrived at the Uzumaki compound, where he saw his girlfriends, Anko and Hinata, relaxing in the living room. He mentally prepared himself as he called for them. "Hey girls, I have some things I want to let you know," Naruto began. They sensed the seriousness of his tone and noticed how nervous he looked. "Okay, let's start with something you both don't know, aside from my connection to the Uzumaki clan. My full name is Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. I'm the son of the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze, and Kushina Uzumaki." Their jaws dropped at this revelation. They were not prepared for such information. They thought, he's the son of the 4th. What the heck? They couldn't imagine how the public would react knowing they had tormented the hero's son. "Next, I have another friend who has helped me a lot in the past. Well, actually, she's more like another girlfriend, or as she says, mate. Don't worry, Hinata, she doesn't care who is the main wife of our group since she just wants to be with me. They were curious about who he was talking about and waited patiently. What they didn't expect was for him to place his hands on their foreheads. "It's better if I just show you instead." Suddenly, they felt as if they were being pulled, even though they didn't move. When they opened their eyes, they were left in awe. They found themselves under a beautiful torii gate. Looking up, they saw thousands of stars in a clear sky, with a sunset illuminating the horizon. Leading up the path from the torii gate was a large, old-style castle on an isolated hill, making it look both impenetrable and awe-inspiring. Naruto appeared behind them, leaving them looking at him awkwardly, which he found adorable. "Sorry girls for spooking you a bit, but right now you're inside my mindscape. This is a world I created to be different from what it was before, which was just a complicated sewer system." The girls nodded in understanding, but that wasn't the question they wanted to ask. Before they could, they heard a low growl coming from behind Naruto. They turned to see a red eye opening on the hill, which made them scared, and they hid behind Naruto. For a few seconds, everything seemed frozen, but that ended when Naruto and the being with the red eye, standing tall in the shadows, began to laugh. "Sorry girls, I just couldn't help tricking you right now," Naruto said, still laughing. They both became annoyed, realizing what was happening, and playfully hit him on the head. Comically, he started crying, saying, "Bullies," which only made them laugh more. After a few moments of laughter, Naruto decided to get serious. "Okay, so I brought you here so you can meet who I'm talking about. Kurama, can you come out please?" Stepping out of the shadows, they looked up to see the creature that had scared Konoha for so many years. "Hello, Anko and Hinata. My name is Kurama, and as you can see, I'm the Kyuubi." They paused for a moment before calming down. Their interest was piqued, but they couldn't ask anything before Hinata said, "Pleasure to meet you, Kurama-sama. Thank you for helping Naruto all this time." They both bowed as a show of respect. "How come you're not afraid of her? I mean, no offense, Kurama, but you're a little scary in your Kyuubi form, honestly." She pouted but understood why her mate said so. "It's because she was there for you when we weren't yet. We all share a common bond when it comes to loving you, and lastly, we trust you, so if you trust her, we will too," Anko said, knowing how it felt to have someone support you during your low points in life. Kyuubi thanked them for their trust and transformed into her human form in front of them. They were not prepared for one of the most beautiful women they had ever seen to appear before them, making them self-conscious about themselves. Next, Kurama and Naruto explained everything that Naruto had gone through in their past, including the abuse, loneliness, and sabotage. After hearing everything, they began to understand why he seemed so distant from everyone around him and why he was also so quiet. They also shared his plans and dreams, like rebuilding Uzumaki. Kurama recounted the events of the Kyuubi attack, detailing how Kushina was the previous Jinchuriki before Naruto, how she was attacked and had the beast extracted from her, and how he had been mind-controlled by an Uchiha. He explained how his parents died protecting him when Kushina was under control. The group felt tense hearing the story but eventually relaxed, gaining insight into Naruto's struggles. Kurama then mentioned, later on when he was 4, is when Naruto and I started to talk. Ever since then, I have tried to help him in every possible way, from training and healing to even changing his body structure. This revelation piqued the curiosity of those listening. Kurama continued, "While studying seals from the Uzumaki clan, along with the memories I had from Mito Uzumaki, we were able to implement a full-body seal that changed his body to allow him to absorb nature chakra. This, in turn, enables his body to heal indefinitely, making him almost immortal. He can still be killed, but he would stop aging when he hits 20. The others were taken aback by this information, realizing the magnitude of what they had created. They exchanged determined glances, nodding in agreement. Hinata asked, "Kurama, can you implement that seal onto us? We want to stay with Naruto forever." Kurama replied, "Are you sure? Once we implement the seal, you won't be able to remove it." They nodded resolutely, which made both Naruto and Kurama smile. Kurama explained, "There are 2 ways to implement the seal. One way is by writing the seal on the outside completely and having you stay in bed for at least half a day for it to engrave onto you. The other, well, is more NTM. It would mean having a close connection with Naruto, and he and I would implement the seal from the inside. She smirked at their blushing faces, including Naruto's. Without hesitation, they responded, "The second one." This made Naruto giggle at the thought. Kurama continued, "With this seal, you will officially be half Uzumaki. Let's discuss the benefits of this change. First, you will experience a significant increase in your chakra pools and coils due to your Uzumaki genes. Second, your bodies will become more youthful and beautiful, enhancing your curves. Third, you will be able to use Uzumaki-specific jutsus and techniques, like the Uzumaki sword seals that Naruto created. Lastly, you might even awaken bloodlines or, in Hinata's case, strengthen her existing bloodlines. Uzumaki genes will seek to enhance what you have hidden. I might even grant you special Uzumaki bloodlines, like the chakra chains or unique sensory abilities. The only downside during the transition is the pain, but Naruto and I have found a way to alleviate that for women through intimacy." They were amazed by the benefits and eagerly anticipated the changes ahead. Naruto then suggested, "How about we go ahead and do it tomorrow? I want it to be special for both of you as we take the next step in our relationship, and I want to take you both on a date each. Does that work for you?" They happily hugged him and agreed with his plan. They decided that Anko would go first from midday to the afternoon, while he would take Hinata afterward, leading into the night. With no other topics to discuss, Naruto gave them a generous amount of money for shopping, and they quickly disappeared, almost as if they had used Hiration. He chuckled and decided to look around for a change. Starting early the next morning, Naruto left the house to give Anko some personal space as she prepared for their date. He transformed his appearance using the transformation jutsu and visited a few clothing stores to buy outfits for the day. After several hours of shopping, he returned to the front of the compound to meet Anko. She wore an outfit that made her look both beautiful and captivating. He complimented her, causing her to blush, and took her hand as they headed into town for their date. Their first stop was a dango shop for lunch, where Anko thoroughly enjoyed the meal. They chatted as they walked to the next destination, oblivious to the curious glances from the villagers. Half an hour later, they arrived at the top of the Hokage monument. Naruto showed her one of his favorite spots to relax, sitting atop his father's head. They cuddled together, watching the village come alive as lunchtime approached. The last place he wanted to take her was their shared favorite spot in the Forest of Death. As they walked toward the clearing where he had saved her, Anko caught a whiff of something delicious. She noticed a picnic basket and a blanket laid out for them. Concerned about the wild animals in the woods, she hesitated, but Naruto reassured her, "Before you ask, I set a barrier that prevents anything from coming in or out. Even the Hokage's crystal ball won't be able to peek at us, so go ahead and relax." Finally at ease, Anko sat down on Naruto's lap. He froze for a moment from the unexpected move, then smiled and wrapped his arms around her waist, resting his chin on her shoulder. Wanting to be playful, he rubbed their cheeks together, letting his whiskers tickle her. They giggled and began feeding each other, chatting and teasing as they enjoyed their time together. Close to the evening, they arrived at their compound to finish their date. Anko was about to head inside when Naruto, smirking, grabbed her arm and pulled her close for a deep kiss. She could feel all of his love for her in that moment, and she immediately reciprocated. After a lengthy makeout session, they pulled away, resting their foreheads against each other and gazing into each other's eyes. "Anko, no matter what, even if this whole village is against us, just know that I will always love you, okay?" Anko, with fresh tears in her eyes, smiled warmly and nodded. She let go of him and watched as he turned around. With a playful grin, she slapped his backside, making him yelp and glare at her. Anko laughed and ran into their house, leaving him smiling at her antics. Next, Naruto went to pick up Hinata at the Hyuga compound. Hinata had received help from Hanabi, who insisted on helping her choose an outfit for their outing. She wore a sleeveless light purple blouse that fit her figure perfectly, paired with a white open jacket. Her darker purple shorts reached mid-thigh, and she wore knee-high boots. Naruto thought she looked beautiful when he saw her. She giggled at his reaction and decided to try something bold. She approached him and kissed him in public, causing him to blush deeply, nearly fainting from the sudden rush of emotions. Hinata laughed while pouting at his reaction. "Ready to go, Hinaheim?" Naruto asked. "Where are we going, Naruto-kun?" she replied. "Well, it isn't much since it was kind of sudden, but I had this idea for a while. Let's go eat first." Hinata nodded, and they held hands as they headed out. They arrived at Ichiraku's for some ramen, their favorite place to eat for different reasons. For Naruto, it was the first place that accepted him. For Hinata, it was where she often visited with her mother when she was alive. They enjoyed a few bowls while chatting happily, unaware of the owner closing the shop for them. After finishing, they said goodbye and left. Naruto then took her to the Yamanaka flower shop so they could pick some flowers to take home. Knowing her love for gardening, he chose a beautiful orchid that he believed suited her perfectly. He bought it from Inoichi Ino's father, who smiled warmly as he attached the flower to her hair, complimenting her afterward. Hinata blushed and hid her face in his chest. Lastly, he decided to take her to a special place he had discovered while training in seclusion. He made sure no one was following them or watching from afar. They walked into the forest behind the Hokage's monument for about a mile, with Naruto slowly guiding her to their destination. Finally, they arrived at a location that he described as an ethereal wonder. Before them was a large cave that led down to a hidden lake. The lake shimmered under the moonlight filtering through an opening in the roof. Its clarity allowed them to see through to the bottom, and it sparkled as if alive. Hinata noticed how much better she felt and how her chakra seemed to grow stronger as they approached the lake. Turning to him with a questioning gaze, she caught his attention. "This place is protected by multiple seals to hide it," he explained. "I found it when I had to run away before, and it became my special spot. The surreal beauty comes from the secret it holds. Hinata, use your Byakugan and tell me what you see under the lake." She activated her dojutsu at his request and immediately saw chakra seeping from beneath the lake, nourishing the surrounding area. Not far below the surface, she spotted what looked like a vein full of chakra traveling through the earth. Noticing where she was focused, Naruto explained, "What you're looking at, Hinata, is what's called a chakra root that travels through the earth. Usually, it's very deep down, and we can't see it even with any of the dojutsu we know, but surprisingly, this one has risen near the surface. It affects the water, transforming it into what Kurama calls a chakra spring. It enhances your chakra coils, boosts your physical attributes, and heals your body the longer you stay in the water. I've used it for most of my life since I found it, and I've taken great care to ensure this place remains hidden. With Kurama's help, we figured out how to artificially recreate this phenomenon for our own benefit, either for us or our clan. So, what do you think?" Hinata stood there for a moment, mesmerized by the beautiful scenery. She snapped out of her reverie when she felt Naruto's sideways hug. Looking up, she saw caring eyes gazing back at her, which made her smile. Leaning against him, they relaxed together for most of the night. As they realized it was getting late, they used Hiration to teleport to their house. They appeared in the living room, apologizing for startling Anko, who was present at the moment. She smiled and hugged them both, giving them a kiss each to welcome them home. After spending some time together and taking separate showers, they sat nervously on the bed. Kurama began to laugh at the awkward atmosphere they had created. Finally, Naruto mustered his courage and stood up, starting to take off his clothes. With everything gone except his boxers, he revealed his toned and slender body. They stared for a moment at his surprisingly fit physique, which excited them. They got up and decided to undress as well until they were in their underwear. Naruto stared at them, almost drooling. Anko wore a dark purple set of underwear and a bra, leaning forward teasingly, while Hinata donned a black set that enhanced her figure even more. Even right now, it looked like her bra was a tad size smaller, making her appear even more confident than before. Although she had worked on her shyness, she still struggled with her body image. Naruto and Anko, however, were admiring her. They noticed her discomfort and approached her, wrapping their arms around her in a comforting hug. Naruto leaned in and kissed her deeply, while Anko placed a gentle kiss on her collarbone. Hinata felt a rush of warmth as she kissed Naruto back, feeling their affection. Outside in the backyard training grounds, the three Uzumaki stood in their combat gear, ready for action. Anko and Hinata faced a clearing, as instructed by Naruto, to begin testing their new abilities. Hinata stepped up first, knowing that her improvements could benefit her. She activated her Byakugan and felt a wave of dizziness, prompting concern from both Naruto and Anko. Noticing their worried expressions, she reassured them, "I'm all right, guys. I'm just not used to processing this much information, but it's incredible. My vision range has increased 5-fold. I believe it now surpasses any of the Hyugas alive today. Even the blind spot that the Hyugas are too proud to acknowledge has been corrected." Seeing Hinata's excitement brought smiles to their faces, but they gasped when she turned around, her dojutsu still active. Kurama reacted the most strongly, noticing the change in her eyes, which now had a blue pupil with a white and light blue flower pattern in the iris. "Naruto, I think I know what she has now," Kurama exclaimed. "Hold on, Kurama. Take control of my body so you can explain to the girls," Naruto replied. With a nod, Kurama took over, and Naruto's eyes transformed into red animalistic slits. "Alright, everyone listen. If I'm correct, Hinata has evolved her Byakugan into something unprecedented for thousands of years." They were all shocked for two reasons: the fact that it was an evolution they had never heard of, and that Hinata possessed it. "I believe it's called the Tensigen." The only other person known to have had those eyes was Himura Otsutsuki, the brother of Hagoromo Otsutsuki, the sage of 6 paths. All three exclaimed in unison, "What?" Kurama chuckled and continued, "Yes, the sage had a brother who was tasked with protecting a certain object and left for the moon. I don't know much about him or his eyes, but we can deduce that it enhances her vision, as she mentioned. Beyond that, I'm not entirely sure." They agreed to investigate further later. Hinata also noticed a significant increase in her chakra pools and coils, which would enhance her stamina as well. Realizing the benefits of becoming half Uzumaki, Anko decided to step up next. She gave Hinata a quick kiss on the cheek as she passed by, causing Hinata to blush. As Anko began to channel her chakra, they noticed that her chakra pools and coils had also increased, similar to Hinata's. However, Anko's coils were already fully developed for her age, so this increase improved her chakra control, surprising Hinata and making Naruto pout a little in jealousy. Anko practiced some of her snake-style stances and unexpectedly revealed a hidden ability. Occasionally, her presence would vanish mid-attack, only for her to reappear elsewhere, having already executed her move. This startled the other two at first, but they quickly began to imagine the advantages she could gain from developing this ability. It might be beneficial for her to practice a new taijutsu style to combine with her new skill, allowing her to move on from her past ties with Orochimaru. Naruto decided to check the Uzumaki library for a suitable style for her. Naruto had one more task to accomplish, as Kurama had explained how to release her without harming him. "Hey girls, how about we have a 2 versus 2 spar? The first team to get the other to the ground at the same time wins. This will help us gauge your abilities and how much stronger you both have become," he suggested. They nodded in agreement and waited as Naruto created a blood clone. Afterward, Naruto had the clone lift his shirt, revealing the seal holding Kurama, and opened it halfway. Slowly, a dark red cloak enveloped the clone. As the transformation occurred, Kurama appeared in her full human form, complete with tails and ears. The girls immediately rushed to her, delighted by the softness of her tails. Kurama chuckled at their antics, enjoying the affection. "It's so good to finally see you both and give you a hug," she said warmly, embracing them. After some time spent chatting, they arranged the teams. On one side stood Naruto next to Hinata, facing Anko and Kurama. They decided to toss a coin to determine the start of the fight. With pleasantries out of the way, Naruto tossed the coin, and they watched intently as it landed. The moment it hit the ground, Anko and Kurama charged forward, knowing their fighting style favored aggression. Kurama, with only about 1 tael's worth of chakra, still had more chakra than Anko, allowing her to have a more explosive burst of speed as they rushed forward. Kurama jumped up, aiming for a high jump kick to separate Naruto and Hinata. Naruto stepped forward and, while Kurama was coming down, blocked the kick and grabbed her leg. Using the momentum from the block as well as his strength, he executed a 360-degree turn and threw her back toward Anko. Anko, unprepared for her teammate to be thrown at her, instinctively jumped to the side to dodge Kurama, who was about to slam into her. Kurama adjusted in midair to land on her feet and continued her attack. Anko moved her right hand toward Naruto's chest, but Hinata intercepted her move, stepping in front of Naruto. She redirected Anko's move outward, creating an opening, and stepped forward to deliver an open palm strike to Anko's chest. Anko managed to block it with a raised knee, but the unbalanced block made her stumble backward, only to recover thanks to Kurama covering for her. Suddenly, Naruto appeared from in front of them and attempted a roundhouse kick, forcing both girls to jump away for safety. Noticing that both Anko and Kurama had been separated, Kurama tried to rush toward Anko, only to be intercepted by Hinata. Meanwhile, Naruto smirked as he saw their plan to divide them come to fruition. Out of nowhere, he hastily maneuvered to dodge an unexpected attack from Anko aimed at his thighs. He knew it would be dangerous to receive any of those blows. Anko switched to her known snake-style taijutsu, launching fast attacks with frightening precision. Naruto defended patiently, waiting for an opportunity to counter. He responded with jabs to her arm whenever she extended it for a move. Slowly, Anko began to feel the effects of his strikes aimed at her triceps. Her fighting style relied on quick, sharp moves to incapacitate her opponents, but Naruto had deduced where to strike for maximum effectiveness. After a few hits, Anko struggled to extend her arm, reducing the power and speed of her strikes. Noticing her moment of imbalance, he knocked away one of her attacks, leaving her wide open. With an open move, he struck at her chest, but Anko braced herself and attempted to grab his arm. Naruto smirked and generated chakra that surged from his legs into his arms, moving forward with explosive speed. That strike alone pushed chakra into her body, causing internal damage as if she were hit by small explosions, making her cough up blood and sending her flying toward Kurama, who was also sent flying. Meanwhile, Hinata was in a defensive position, employing her mother's gentle fist style to block multiple attacks from Kurama's aggressive strikes. Kurama launched quick claw swipes at Hinata, who tried to block them. Suddenly, Kurama smirked, using those claw swipes as a feint to grab Hinata and pull her in. With the same arm, she stepped forward and elbowed Hinata in the cheek, making her stumble backward. Kurama followed up with a quick straight punch, but Hinata ducked, surprising Kurama. In her position, Hinata extended her arms outward, striking Kurama in the stomach with her left palm, sending Kurama flying into Anko, who was also sent flying from Naruto's earlier attack. After thanking the girls for their support in relieving his emotional baggage, Naruto decided to change the subject. He asked Tenten if she wanted to study under him in Kenjutsu and learn his sword art. He explained that the only thing she wouldn't be able to do would be the Uzumaki clan's special techniques he had learned and created, as they required one to be in Uzumaki. The girls looked at him with confusion, and Tenten spoke up, asking how there could be two others when she thought he was the only Uzumaki left in the village. Naruto blushed slightly and explained that technically, Hinata and Anko were now half Uzumaki after the previous night. Yugao and Tenten were stunned by this revelation. Yugao, noticing Naruto's blush, quickly understood and felt a blush creeping onto her own cheeks, trying to shake off the thoughts that came to mind. Tenten, either from ignorance or pure curiosity, asked how that was even possible, as it wasn't surgically feasible to change a person's genetic structure. Naruto, feeling a bit embarrassed, explained that he had created a special seal with several unique features. One of those features allowed individuals to change into a certain person's genetic family structure by receiving that person's DNA. However, it was a game of chance, and the change could only be guaranteed through intimacy with the other person. He hesitated to elaborate further, but it was enough for Tenten and Yugao to slowly grasp the idea. Tenten suddenly had a nosebleed, trying to clean it up before the others noticed, but she failed, and they chose not to comment on it. Taking a deep breath to calm his blush, Naruto continued, confirming that it indeed involved intimacy. He reassured them that he was dating both Hinata and Anko, with both girls aware of each other and living with him. He explained that the reason for his relationships with them was that he had been added to the Clan Restoration Act. They both nodded in understanding, but each had something on their minds. Yugao wanted to talk to Enko later with the rest of the Ice Queens, as they were unaware of her new relationship with Naruto, while Tenten wanted to congratulate Hinata with the rest of the Rookie 12, who already knew of each other. The rest of the day, the three of them trained together as Naruto taught them a few of his sword art techniques. Meanwhile, other interesting events were unfolding around Konoha involving the new Uzumakis. Hinata was running late after their spar that morning, hurrying to the training grounds. She felt she didn't need to train with her team anymore, as she had grown stronger than them, even Kurenai. As she contemplated this, her teammates spotted her approaching the training field and waved. Kurenai opened her mouth to ask why Hinata was late but froze before she could speak. The others shared her surprise when they saw her. "Hinata? What happened to you? You look so much more mature. And those highlights in your hair?" Kurenai asked, a hint of concern in her voice. Hinata giggled softly and reassured her, "Don't worry, sensei, it's nothing bad. I just got closer to Naruto, that's all." As she spoke, she flashed a smile they had never seen before, genuine and radiant. They also noticed the blush creeping onto her cheeks. Kurenai understood the reason behind it, recalling Hinata mentioning a date with Naruto. A knowing smirk spread across Kurenai's face, which made Hinata blush even more. Shino and Kiba were slower to catch on, but as they observed Kurenai's smirk and Hinata's reaction, they began to piece things together. Shino felt happy for her but sensed there was more to the story, while Kiba was consumed by jealousy towards Naruto. In a moment of impulsive frustration, he declared, "Hinata, let's go on a date and forget about that dead last. We all know I'm the better man for you, so let's go." He tried to sound commanding and reached for her hand, but the look she gave him made him withdraw. It was a look of pure disgust and anger that both Shino and Kurenai recognized. Suddenly, Kiba felt a sharp metal edge pressed against his throat, startling everyone. Hinata had drawn a kunai, and they watched in shock as the other Hinata beside them vanished in a puff of smoke. "Kiba," she said, her tone reminiscent of a mother's reprimand. The pressure she exuded made him realize that this version of Hinata was not someone he could challenge. "Say anything demeaning about Naruto again, and I'll make sure your career as a ninja and your life as a man are over." The implication sent shivers down both Shino and Kiba's spines. "Do you understand, Kiba?" She pressed the kunai closer, drawing a drop of blood as she finished her warning. Kurenai felt a swell of pride for Hinata, while Shino mentally noted to never disrespect Naruto in front of her again. Kiba nodded slowly, acknowledging her words. Satisfied with his response, Hinata withdrew her kunai and pushed him away. Now that the confrontation was over, Hinata turned to Kurenai and said, "Sensei, can you come with me? I need to meet with my father and sister to explain some things that have happened after these changes." Kurenai nodded, dismissing the others as she followed Hinata to the Hyuga compound. Upon entering, the members at the entrance were surprised by Hinata's new look as they made their way inside. They headed directly to the dojo, knowing it was around the time her father usually trained Hanabi. Upon entering, they found Hanabi sparring with Hayashi. Both stopped and turned to look at Hinata, their expressions shifting to shock as they took in her transformation. Hanabi was the first to recover, squealing at how beautiful her sister looked. Hayashi, however, struggled to respond to his daughter's new appearance. Each glance reminded him of his late wife. He felt grateful that Naruto had come into their lives, helping him emerge from the turmoil following Kiyomi's death. Shaking his head, he managed a small smile as he approached them. "Father, Hanabi, can we go somewhere private to discuss a few things regarding the changes I've undergone?" Hinata asked. Kurenai and Hayashi exchanged narrowed looks at her phrasing. Hayashi led them to his study and locked the door behind them. Wanting to ensure their privacy, Hinata stood and performed a series of hand signs at a speed that left Hayashi and Kurenai struggling to keep up. Uzumaki style, whispers of the night. The moment they heard the name of the jutsu and saw the seals appearing in the study, Hayashi and Kurenai stood up in alarm. "Hinata, what is this? How are you able to use a jutsu specific to the Uzumaki clan?" Only those of Uzumaki blood can use those jutsus. Hayashi's voice trailed off as he noticed the look on Hinata's face, one of happiness mixed with worry. He hadn't seen her express that since her mother's passing. Deciding to remain silent, he waited for her to continue, as did Kurenai, who recognized the significance of the moment. Hanabi, though confused, sensed the gravity of the situation and chose to stay quiet. Now that the seal is active, I'll start by saying I am now half Hyuga and half Uzumaki since last night. The revelation left everyone in the room speechless. Hinata allowed them a moment to process the information. Kurenai was the first to recover, asking, "How?" She struggled to find the right words. The others nodded in agreement, equally stunned. Naruto created an incredible Fuinjutsu seal that allowed this to happen, along with a few other modifications, but I'll keep those to myself for now. Hayashi was at a loss for words. He felt relieved that Naruto was fulfilling the promise he made. Hinata's smile indicated her happiness, but he was unsure how to respond to the changes she had undergone. The old mentality of preserving their bloodlines still lingered in his mind. Hanabi was extremely happy for her sister, having noticed a significant change in Hinata. No longer was she the shy and timid girl who would faint whenever Naruto approached her. Now, she was a proud and strong woman, ready to fight for her love. It was honestly inspiring for Hanabi. Okay, on to the next topic I wanted to bring up. When I became an Uzumaki, my body gained benefits that come with being an Uzumaki, such as longevity and large chakra pools. Surprisingly, my bloodline benefited as well. My Byakugan has actually evolved, Hinata explained. Hayashi, in disbelief, responded, "Evolved? I have never heard of a way to evolve the Byakugan before." Hinata understood his surprise and continued, "Father, do you know how the Byakugan came to be?" He shook his head, as their archives contained no information on that subject. She elaborated, "Back in the day, when chakra was barely known, the sage of 6 paths lived among us, teaching everyone about this energy. What many don't know is that he had a brother who was the founding father of what we now know as the Hyuga clan." The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this history, while Hayashi began writing it down in a black journal. "Hinata, how do you know about this?" Not much has been discovered about the sage of 6 paths, aside from bedtime stories, let alone the fact that he had a brother, Kurenai asked. Hinata sighed, knowing that some secrets needed to be revealed for them to believe. She gave Kurenai a serious glare that unnerved everyone present. "Sensei, what I'm about to tell you cannot leave this room, not even to the Hokage. If it does, I won't hesitate to take action against you. It doesn't matter if you are my sensei or my father," she warned. The intensity of her gaze made it clear that she was serious. They nodded, and Hinata slowly relaxed, acknowledging their understanding of her warning. "Naruto, Anko, and I learned this information from Kurama, the Kyuubi. She was created with the other tailed beasts by the sage, making him the first Jinchuriki. Because of that, she was present when they were together and when they separated. She also knows a little about the evolution of the Byakugan. However, she stated that achieving that evolution is nearly impossible, so she believes it won't be replicable anytime soon." They all understood the gravity of the topic. The fact that they were discussing a new dojutsu and communicating with the Kyuubi was serious and could lead to numerous complications for the village. Hanabi, curious, asked, "Sis, what is the evolved Byakugan called, and what does it do?" Hinata smiled and replied, "It's called the Tensigan, the Resurrection Eyes. They were the eyes of the sage's brother. They enhance everything the Byakugan can do and fix the blind spot that the Hyuga have. It also increases my already enhanced chakra amounts and makes my chakra control nearly perfect. There are still mysteries related to these eyes that we aren't sure about, but we will inform you all when we find out more. Please, Father, I know you are writing this down for the benefit of the clan, but ensure that only the clan head has access to it. Anyone else in the clan knowing this information could complicate matters for our Uzumaki clan, and Naruto would retaliate." Hayashi felt a chill run down his spine at the thought of Naruto at their compound entrance if that ever happened. He hurriedly nodded in approval of her request. While Hinata answered a few other questions, mostly from Kurenai and Hanabi, Anko was causing mischief typical of an Uzumaki. When Anko entered the torture and interrogation department for her shift, many immediately noticed the changes in her. Multiple times, they had to pull her away from prisoners she was interrogating, as it seemed she was not going to stop anytime soon. After other prisoners heard about her methods, those scheduled for interrogation decided to be upfront and tell her everything they could to escape her punishments. Ibiki, her superior, laughed as he watched them quiver at her presence, even before she touched them. They also noticed the cheerful smile on her face and her glowing skin, which never faded throughout the day. That day would later be known for yielding the most information from their enemies in history. It had now been a week since the changes in Anko and Hinata. Many had noticed these transformations and questioned them about their causes. Most of the time, their reply was to ask Naruto himself, which would immediately cause grumbling. For a while, it had become a battle of attrition between the Uzumaki clan and everyone else who dared to demand answers from the clan head. Another issue that arose was the stories surrounding Yugao. Many ninjas had heard about the ANBU commander's retirement and the reasons behind it, which sadly included Naruto's life story from his childhood. Naruto himself nearly went into a rage upon discovering that the village now knew what he had endured. After having Kakashi, Asuma, and Yugao subdue him long enough to calm down, Naruto confronted the Hokage about how the stories of his past were revealed. Those present understood why Naruto was enraged, given how secluded he had been regarding his history. They were also upset, as the information should have remained within the Hokage's office. The confrontation in the Hokage's office was tense. Never before had the Hokage faced such a reprimand for allowing sensitive information to leak into the village. The atmosphere was charged as the words used to describe the Hokage's blunder echoed in the room. At one point, even the ANBU, who were there for the Hokage's protection, had to step forward in an attempt to intimidate Naruto into silence. However, they quickly regretted their decision when Naruto, empowered by Kurama, unleashed a wave of killer intent. The ANBU fell to their knees, struggling to breathe under the pressure he exerted. Those not targeted by his intent also felt the weight of the moment. The Hokage had to command Naruto to rein in his emotions before further chaos ensued. Naruto eased the pressure but still directed a significant amount toward himself, causing him to sweat profusely. This exchange soured the relationship between Naruto and the Hokage, who had once shared a bond akin to that of a grandfather and grandson, a reality that deeply saddened the older man. The stories that had been made public caused a rift between civilians and ninjas, particularly among women. Many female ninjas were aware of the dangers they faced in their line of work, and the revelation that a child, not even 10 years old, had endured such hardships without protection sparked sympathy among them. Stores that had previously barred Naruto began to welcome him again. Those most affected were the Rookie 12, with the exception of Sasuke. Learning about Naruto's struggles during their time in the academy filled them with sadness, anger, and regret, especially for those who had mistreated him, like Sakura, Ino, and Kiba. Naruto, however, reassured them that he was okay now and often tried to steer the conversation away from his past, a tactic that many noticed. Meanwhile, the training Naruto conducted with his female companions had significantly enhanced their skills. Anko, having gained abilities from becoming an Uzumaki, was completing missions much faster than before. She had also been practicing a new style of taijutsu that complemented her newfound strength, allowing her to break free from the shadow of her former teacher, the rogue Sannin Orochimaru. This new style involved quick, sharp jabs and hit-and-run tactics, capitalizing on her ability to erase her presence entirely. Even Hinata struggled to keep up with her during their sparring sessions. However, Hinata faced challenges of her own following the evolution of her dojutsu. The Hyuga clan attempted to pressure her father, Hayashi, into breaking her marriage contract with Naruto, hoping to arrange a marriage within their clan instead. Naruto quickly countered, asserting that the agreement was binding and that only he or Hinata could dissolve it. Despite their attempts to coerce Hinata, she remained resolute. After enduring days of frustration and threats, she ultimately renounced her position as the heir of the Hyuga clan and officially joined the Uzumaki clan. Danzo had also begun to take action against the Uzumaki clan. His root operatives made multiple attempts to infiltrate their compound under the cover of night, but the security seals surrounding the area thwarted their efforts. Naruto had to deal with a few of them who became problematic, even resorting to lethal measures. Frustrated by the ongoing aggression, Naruto decided to retaliate. One night, without anyone's knowledge, he personally destroyed 10 of Danzo's root bases and eliminated many of the ninjas residing there. This was a clear message to Danzo: I know where you are. The attack left Danzo unsettled, unsure of how Naruto had discovered the locations of his bases or how much more he might know. Following this incident, Danzo and his root operatives fell silent, but the members of the Uzumaki clan remained vigilant, prepared for any future provocations. Starting the day, Naruto was with Tenten, training her in his sword art while a shadow clone sparred with Yugao. Tenten exclaimed in frustration, questioning why the sword art was so difficult. Naruto chuckled and explained that all extraordinary techniques used around the elemental countries were challenging to learn. He mentioned that the one he created was among the top 10 hardest to master, emphasizing that it relied heavily on speed and chakra. He encouraged Tenten, stating that increasing her speed was manageable with rigorous training, but mastering the chakra aspect would be more complex. He informed her that she needed to expand her chakra pool and improve her chakra control to progress to the intermediate level of his sword art, which he called Uzumaki's domain. Despite her frustration, Tenten pouted but continued with the training regimen Naruto had set for her. Unbeknownst to her, her techniques, speed, and precision had significantly improved since she began training under Naruto's guidance. If Naruto were to compare her current abilities to when they first sparred, he would estimate that Tenten was now about 1.15 times stronger overall. Although that might seem modest, she had previously trained for over a year with her genin team and had hit a plateau in her development, having learned little beyond taijutsu from her jounin instructor. Meanwhile, Naruto had decided to train Yugao in his mother's technique, Dragon's Descent. Having trained with swords for many years, she quickly grasped the fundamentals of the technique. After sparring with Naruto daily, she had just mastered the beginner levels of the sword art. Naruto also taught her several sword techniques that she could incorporate into her fighting style. Their sparring sessions were the most enjoyable Naruto and Yugao had experienced, as they both matched each other's speed and strength. Naruto decided to conclude their training early since he and Tenten had a meet-up with the other Rookie 12 at the Yakiniku Q restaurant, a popular gathering spot for team. Before he could leave, an ANBU operative appeared before them. The masked figure informed Naruto that he had been summoned to the Hokage Tower immediately. Naruto, aware of the reason for the summons, struggled to hide his smirk, ultimately failing. He acknowledged the ANBU's message and prepared to head to the tower. Tenten and Yugao noticed his smirk but chose not to inquire about it, knowing it likely spelled trouble for someone. Naruto instructed Tenten to go ahead to Yakiniku Q and assured her he would join them later. At the Hokage Tower, Naruto stood before the Hokage, who regarded him with suspicion. Earlier that morning, Sarutobi had received an unusual request for assistance from Mei Terumi, the leader of the revolutionary faction in the ongoing civil war in the village hidden in the mist. The Hokage was wary, as he found it strange that she specifically requested Naruto's help. After some contemplation, he recalled that Team 7's mission, which had escalated to an A-rank assignment in the Land of Waves, involved two ninjas who had likely informed Mei about Naruto, Zabuza Momochi and Haku Yuki. Understanding the situation, Naruto responded to Sarutobi's inquiry about why the leader of the revolutionary army sought his assistance. The Hokage's eyes twitched with concern as he directed the question at Naruto, who wore a knowing smirk. At the training grounds owned by the Uzumaki compound, the sounds of explosions and metal clashing echoed clearly. Naruto was engaged in a spar with Yugao, swinging his sword horizontally while pivoting on his back foot to execute a 180-degree arc. The force behind his swing pushed Yugao back as she defended against the strength of his attack. Just then he turned to block a vertical strike from Tenten. For the past few months, Naruto had been training both Yugao and Tenten in Kushina's sword style and his own style of swordplay. While they often found his training methods torturous, they were genuinely pleased with how far they had come. Tenten had developed various ways to integrate Naruto's sword style into her arsenal of weapons, making her far more versatile and deadly in combat. She had also begun training in her lightning elemental affinity, managing to imbue her highly conductive weapons with lightning energy. Yugao, on the other hand, had significantly improved her strength, speed, and chakra control. If she had fought her past self, she would have emerged victorious more often than not. The techniques she learned from Kushina's sword style had made her a formidable opponent. After Haku's visit from the Hidden Mist Village, Naruto had welcomed both Tenten and Yugao into the Uzumaki clan as vassals, allowing them to learn his family's techniques. Yugao eagerly accepted the role of bodyguard for Naruto, while Tenten took some time to decide. After discussions with her father and Naruto, she chose to join the clan as its blacksmith. For now, she continued to live with her father to further her training and spend time with him. Naruto also introduced Anko and Hinata as his partners to Tenten and Yugao. Yugao congratulated both girls, while Tenten was left in shock. Both girls expressed a desire to spar with them, unaware of the hidden strengths they possessed. After a brief bout, Tenten required medical assistance for multiple strikes to her arm, and Yugao had to relocate her leg. Despite the injuries, they all recognized their growth and strength. As their sparring session continued, Naruto noticed that both Yugao and Tenten appeared exhausted. He decided to end the training for the morning. After blocking Tenten's strike, he pushed her sword away and delivered a roundhouse kick to her stomach, forcing her back. Tenten, anticipating the attack, braced herself for the impact. "All right, girls, I think that's enough for this morning. We've been at it for 3 hours now, and I can see how much you've improved," Naruto said proudly. Both girls, still panting, smiled at his praise. "Go ahead and head inside to take a shower. We have a meeting with our senseis, just so you know," he called out, raising his voice as Tenten dashed back inside. With a chuckle, he bid farewell to Yugao and made his way toward the village. Later, Naruto met up with Sakura and Sasuke, who had been waiting for Kakashi. Despite knowing Kakashi's tendency to arrive late, they always showed up on time. Over the past few months, both genins had changed. Sakura, encouraged by Naruto and Kakashi, had begun learning medical jutsu and poisons to complement her fighting style. She also sought training in genjutsu from Kurenai, making her a valuable support for the team. Sasuke, however, had become a point of contention among the clans in the village. While he had grown stronger, his methods had angered many. He had been spotted multiple times lurking around the village's training grounds with his Sharingan active, copying techniques and jutsus from others. This behavior particularly infuriated the Inuzuka clan, who had witnessed him using their techniques on missions. The Hyuga clan was also concerned, as their taijutsu was difficult to employ without the Byakugan, but Sasuke's Sharingan allowed him to mimic it to some extent. The blatant appropriation of clan jutsus led to a council meeting where all the shinobi clans expressed their grievances against Sasuke. However, the civilian council and the elders supported the Uchiha, complicating matters. During this meeting, Naruto had appointed Yugao as a proxy for the Uzumaki clan, as she had retired from Umbu services and was now primarily stationed in the village as Naruto's bodyguard. She had also been granted access to the security seals of the compound, allowing her to activate them when Naruto was away. In the council meeting, it became clear that the Uzumaki clan had not been affected by Sasuke's actions, as the Sharingan could not replicate the intricacies of sealing techniques. And secondly, those in the clan had also applied the seal that Naruto created, which caused anyone using a Sharingan on them to experience blurry vision, as if they were wearing heavily prescribed glasses despite having perfect eyesight. Shikaku Nara noticed that Naruto Uzumaki had been quiet throughout the meeting. Finally, he asked an important question that not only quelled the clans but also made them indebted to the Uzumaki clan. Shikaku inquired if he could ask a question related to the current issue being discussed. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the title he was given but understood where this was headed and decided to respond. He agreed, asking Shikaku what his question was. Shikaku smirked and asked how it was that the Uzumaki clan seemed less vocal about the issues caused by the Uchiha compared to the other shinobi clans. Naruto thought for a moment before explaining that the reason they were not as vocal or inconvenienced by the Uchiha was due to an Uzumaki seal he had created. This seal made it difficult for the Sharingan to be used on the person it was applied to, preventing any techniques or jutsus they used from being copied. A hush fell over the meeting after Naruto finished speaking. The members of the shinobi clan stared wide-eyed, their expressions slowly shifting to ones of almost pleading, while the civilian council and two of the elders wore scowls. Danzo, on the other hand, had beads of sweat forming on his forehead, maintaining a neutral expression. One member of the civilian council shouted at Naruto, accusing him of undermining what their Uchiha prince needed to grow strong for the village. The others joined in, yelling at him as well, while the shinobi clans waited for the uproar to settle. After a minute, Naruto released his presence, which instantly silenced them. Clearing her throat, Tsum Inuzuka decided to be straightforward with her question. She asked if there was any way for the shinobi clans to obtain that seal for their use. Naruto, contemplating the situation, decided to take a jab at Sasuke and replied that he believed they could sell the seal to others in the village, but it would need to be discussed within their clan to determine the price. He added that the seal had a safety mechanism. If someone attempted to tamper with it or remove it from the village without proper authorization, another seal would be triggered that would destroy the original seal and mark the individual in a way that only members of the Uzumaki clan could detect. This last statement was directed at Danzo, and those who noticed, including Shikaku and Sarutobi, couldn't help but smirk at the nervousness that appeared on Danzo's face. Uzumaki skills, jutsus shown. Seals. A. Uzumaki seal, whispers of the night. After performing a few hand seals, a seal array emanates from the user, encompassing them and anyone else in the room. Within this space, it negates any noise from escaping while allowing only the selected voices chosen by the user to be heard by one another. B. Uzumaki sword seal, silencing boundary. The user draws a seal on the ground with a weapon, creating a boundary that negates the use of chakra for those standing within it, except for those marked as friendly. This technique is very taxing on chakra. C. Uzumaki sword seal, soul boundary. The user draws a seal on the ground with a weapon, creating a boundary that enhances the strength, chakra recovery, and speed of the user and allies standing within it. This technique consumes chakra continuously but is not very heavy on chakra usage. A. Dragon's claw. This technique is used with a sword, creating afterimages of 3 swords being swung in an upward strike. Depending on the strength applied, it can send the enemy backward or upward into the air, even if blocked. B. Moonlight slash. This technique utilizes the user's strength combined with their chakra to deliver a powerful slash at the enemy, pushing them away. The distance of the attack depends on the user's and the enemy's strength and chakra. C. Full moonlight slash. In this technique, the user charges their chakra into their blade and performs a full swing around them, capable of striking twice on the return swing. D. Crescent moon slash. By charging chakra into their sword and swinging it at any angle, the user sends a flying slash toward the enemy. This can be charged quickly and can be denser based on the user's chakra and control. E. Secret technique, Mirage Blade. The user charges a significant amount of chakra into themselves and rushes toward the enemy. At the moment of attack, the concentrated chakra increases their speed dramatically, causing the afterimages created to become real as they strike in multiple locations simultaneously. The effectiveness depends on the user's charge time, speed, and chakra control. Sword arts, Kushina's techniques. Collapsing mountain. This technique involves charging the sword with chakra and slamming it toward the ground, creating a shockwave. The height of the swing increases the shockwave, and the chakra surrounding the sword provides a protective shield in front of the user, blocking jutsus depending on the amount of chakra infused into the sword. Jutsus. Fire style, Fireball jutsu. The user concentrates chakra within their body, transforming it into fire, which they then expel from their mouth. The more chakra used, the larger the fireball becomes. Although primarily used by the Uchihas, others have learned the hand seals and how to execute the jutsu over time. Wind style, Great breakthrough. The user breathes out winds from their mouth, blowing everything in their path. The skill level and the amount of chakra added will increase the strength of the jutsu. Later on, everyone, including those who were initially against it, agreed on the importance of the seal. Only those who could afford it approached Naruto for deals regarding the seal. After that day, Naruto owned 10% of the properties in the Akimichi district, received a 15% discount on medicinal and poisonous herbs from the Nara clan, earned 5% of the Inuzuka's yearly income, and enjoyed a 15% discount on purchases at the Yamanaka stores. The Hyuga clan also offered a few seals they owned as replacements for a certain amount of seals. Since then, all shinobi clans present at the meeting have maintained good relations with the Uzumaki clan. Naruto also offered their seals to a few close friends. One principle he wanted to establish for the Uzumaki clan was that friends and those close to the clan should come first. Everyone agreed with this idea, so all members of the rookie teams, except Sasuke, received a seal. Back with the Genins, when Naruto arrived, Sakura chastised him for being late. He rebutted that he wasn't technically late since Kakashi wasn't there at that moment, which made Sakura quietly grumble, acknowledging he was right. Sasuke was still brooding, clearly directing his frustration towards Naruto ever since the seals had been distributed. A few minutes later, Kakashi arrived with an excuse for his lateness that no one believed. He then announced the reason for their gathering. This morning, Lord Third stated that the Chunin exams will be starting next week, and I have nominated you all for a chance at promotion. If you want to participate, meet up next Monday morning at the academy. With that said, I'm giving you the week off to decide and prepare if you choose to join this year. See you. After Kakashi left, Naruto invited Sakura to eat and discuss her plans for the exams while Sasuke walked away. Naruto decided to take her to Ichiraku's since it had been a while since he last visited. They walked at a leisurely pace, chatting, until they noticed they were being followed by a suspicious box-shaped rock. Naruto sighed with a small smile and called out, "Kanomaru, you know that rocks aren't box-shaped, right?" Sakura giggled at Naruto's comment as they heard a voice say, "See, Kono, I told you that this cover wasn't going to work." Suddenly, a large puff of smoke erupted where the box had been, accompanied by a few coughs. Wanting to help, Naruto channeled a bit of wind chakra to blow away the smoke, revealing 3 kids. The leader of the group had spiky brown hair and blue eyes, wearing goggles on his forehead and a long blue scarf that dragged on the ground. He sported a yellow shirt with a red Konoha print and gray pants. To his right was a boy with short brown hair and dark eyes, wearing glasses, a blue shirt zipped up the middle and brown pants. The only girl in the group had orange hair tied into 2 large pigtails with red ties. She wore a red tank top over a pink shirt and gray pants. They introduced themselves as the Konohamaru squad. Konohamaru approached Naruto and asked, "Hey Naruto and I, do you want to play ninja with us today?" Naruto replied, "Sorry, Konohamaru, I just asked Sakura to eat for a bit, and afterwards, I'm probably going to train to prepare for the Chunin exams. How about this? You 3 can join us at Ichiraku's, my treat." The 3 kids cheered at the invitation. Konohamaru then noticed Sakura and asked, "Naruto, who is she? Is she your girlfriend?" Naruto sighed and clarified, "No, Konohamaru, she isn't my girlfriend, just a friend and my teammate." Sakura nodded in agreement, though she felt a strange sensation in her stomach at his words. Unsure of what it was, she shook her head to dismiss the thoughts. "I can't see her being your girlfriend, Naruto. She just doesn't look much like a girl, honestly," Konohamaru remarked. Naruto sighed loudly, and Moegi, the girl in their group, playfully slapped the back of his head for the comment. Suddenly, Naruto felt a familiar pressure. Turning around, he saw Sakura with an angry aura surrounding her, prompting him to back off a bit. Quietly, he told Konohamaru to run, and as instructed, all 3 kids bolted from the area with Sakura in hot pursuit. Naruto followed at a slow pace, ensuring Sakura didn't go too far with her punishment. Suddenly, a hard thud echoed through the air, prompting Naruto to rush around the corner. What he saw was escalating quickly. Konohamaru was being held up by the scruff of his shirt by a ninja dressed in a cat costume. The figure wore a baggy, black full-body suit adorned with red and yellow designs, complete with a black hood that concealed his head and featured cat-like ears. What raised Naruto's concern was the foreign village's shinobi protector he wore. Beside him stood a beautiful girl with sandy blonde hair styled into 4 consecutive pigtails and striking teal eyes. She wore a light purple off-the-shoulder garment that extended halfway down her thighs, cinched at the waist with a sash, and fishnet stockings on her shoulders, right calf, and left thigh. "Ow, that hurt, you little punk!" exclaimed the cat boy. "Stop it, Kankuro. We have to hurry up and meet him," the girl urged. "Hold on, Temari. I just want to show this little brat what happens when they decide to hit me." Temari sighed but didn't intervene. "Hey, we're sorry for bumping into you. We were just playing around and didn't see where we were going," Sakura attempted to apologize. "If I were you, I would let go of the kid you're holding right now since you're in a foreign village," Naruto warned as he approached them cautiously. Both ninjas looked up at him. "Oh, and what if we don't?" Kankuro challenged, smirking as he prepared to strike Konohamaru. Suddenly, he froze, a shiver running down his spine as he felt a sharp object against his neck. The atmosphere grew tense as everyone held their breath. Temari, ready to draw her weapon, froze mid-step, unsure why. The reason for the surprise was clear. Naruto held a kunai dangerously close to Kankuro's neck, having also placed a hand on Temari's stomach, seals spreading from his palm. "I won't repeat myself. Let him go." "Now," Naruto said in a deadly serious tone. Kankuro immediately released Konohamaru. Naruto slowly withdrew his kunai and stepped back from Temari, suddenly vanishing and reappearing next to Sakura, who jumped slightly while clutching Konohamaru. "Kankuro, you're a disappointment to our village," a voice suddenly echoed from above. Both foreign ninjas froze at the sound. Naruto turned to see a red-haired boy hanging upside down from a branch, glaring at Kankuro. "Gaara, I was just training to show." Kankuro began, attempting to explain but fell silent when Gaara interrupted. "Kankuro, shut up or I'll kill you." The threat silenced the foreign ninja. In a swift movement, Gaara landed beside them, facing Naruto. Sakura and the others trembled slightly from the killer intent Gaara was unconsciously releasing. Sakura clutched Naruto's sleeve for support, only to feel the tension dissipate when Naruto released his own killer intent toward Gaara. As they stared each other down, both ninjas increased their killer intent until Naruto surpassed Gaara's. Naruto continued to amplify his presence, causing the foreign ninjas to tense up. How does this guy have this kind of killer intent? Kankuro thought, while Temari noticed her hand shaking uncontrollably. Gaara, too, began to tremble slightly but managed a chilling smile at Naruto. Gradually, both Naruto and Gaara reined in their killer intent, calming those behind them. "What's your name?" Gaara asked. "Naruto, Uzumaki Naruto." "And you?" Naruto replied. "Sabaku no Gaara. You seem strong." "My mother wants your blood," Gaara stated ominously. "Naruto, I sense one of my siblings within this one." "Shikaku, the One-Tails, to be exact," Kurama informed him. "Oh, anything you can tell me about him?" Naruto inquired. "Only that he's a bit unstable after being sealed for so long. Those who have held him often face torment to the brink of insanity," Kurama explained. Naruto nodded in acknowledgement. "Well, whatever you say, I'll see you later at the Chunin exams." "Oh, and the 9 says hi to 1, Naruto said, slowly walking away with the others. Unbeknownst to him, the foreign ninjas watched him with wide eyes, realizing not only that Naruto was the Jinchuriki of the 9 Tails but also that he knew Gaara was a Jinchuriki as well. Temari and Kankuro began to sweat, understanding the implications of their encounter. "Do you know where those ninjas come from?" Naruto asked Sakura after they left the foreign ninjas behind. "From the looks of it, they seem to come from the hidden village in the sand," Sakura replied. "Well, okay then. Anyway, let's keep going to Ichiraku's." "It's my treat," Naruto exclaimed, with the others cheering along the way. Internally, however, Naruto was having a conversation with Kurama. "That's suspicious for the Jinchuriki of the hidden sand to be here for the Chunin exams," he thought. "What makes you say that?" Kurama inquired. "Well, for the hidden villages, their Jinchurikis are usually their hidden weapons used for battles. For one to be here in our village is worrying," Naruto explained, sharing his concerns. This made Kurama realize there was something off about the situation. Let's go ahead and inform the Hokage of what we found, just in case. It's better to be safe than to assume everything is fine, Sakura suggested. Naruto nodded in agreement, ready to visit the old man after they finished eating.